Minivan Musician episode what?
Yeah, it's a
We don't
special
know.
episode.
It's
It's a special
This is our
episode.
Hurricane Helene edition.
Yeah, we've got a whole
We've got a
series
whole
of
series
videos
on
we're
that.
putting
Yeah.
together for this. So, anyway, yeah, okay, just introduce yourself. Let people know who you are.
Okay, my name is Sadie. I'm from Burleson, Texas. Married to my husband Osvaldo, and we have 4 kids. We run a small trucking company. Our kids do rodeo, and we do some horse stuff on the side, but yeah.
Okay, and how did you come about assisting? And like I was saying before, like I can't wrap my mind around dropping my business and just having faith that it's going to work out to go help people.
Yeah.
Like it's so far away and expensive and everything.
It was definitely nerve-wracking. We are low on funds now. We self-funded our trip here. But here's the thing, like this is the way we looked at it. All it cost us was our fuel because our donations came strictly from our community. My husband and I pitched in, we bought a pallet of water and 40 totes. But other than that, everything is strictly from my community. I'm lucky that I have guys that are working still. But it's been tight for sure.
Okay.
But we kind of got into this because when Hurricane Ian hit a couple years ago, we made bank taking generators over to Florida and thought we were going to be in the similar situation with Milton hitting. And we have some friends that do ranching down in Florida, and we said, well, let's put some feed on the trailer just so we can get it to them. We're going to be there, that way we'll have that. And then without my husband knowing, I was like, well, I don't know. I just wanted to do it. I called a local...
Don't worry, I'll cut that out.
Okay. I called a local bar in Burleson. I said, hey, I don't know you from Adam. We have businesses in the same area, and I want to do hurricane relief for the hurricane. Would you guys be interested in helping? And Tara was like, let's go. I'll meet you at Sam's Club in 15 minutes. And I was like, okay. And we go, and we'll get into this more later about the corporations, but they would not sell us a pallet of water. But they would sell us 48 cases of water, which is a pallet. But we had to stack it ourselves. So me, Tara, and her husband are stacking this water. We don't know each other. Her husband's in these flip-flops. He can't push the cart. He's like walking barefoot in Sam's. It was absolutely wild. And then I was like, okay, well now I need a place to put all this stuff and put this on because I don't live on like a business street. So I called B&S Trading Co. because they're right by Cooter Brown's, the bar. And I said, hey, I'm putting on this donation drive on the fly of a hat. Can I use your parking lot? And they're like, come on. So then I was like, well, what are people going to think that we're doing on the side of the road? So I call Cool Dog Graphics in Burleson. And I say, hey, I'm wanting to do a donation drive. I need a sign, and my handwriting is chicken scratch. Can you help me? And they were like, yeah, we'll make you a banner. And they made me like a 15-foot banner. So we put that up, and that's literally how we got rolling.
Wow.
Within like 5 hours.
So it just hit you to go from we could make a profit from this to I want to do hurricane relief.
Yeah, it kind of just was like, I don't know, if I'm going to put this on the trailer, well, what else can I put on there? And then soon enough, well, I'm not going to fit the generators anymore, so I guess we're just going full donation. Let's do it.
Wow.
So.
How did you end up, okay, so obviously you had seen what's happening with Western North Carolina and stuff like that. Did you come right here? Did you go anywhere else first?
So originally, we were going to go to Florida for Milton, because, Milton was supposed to wipe Florida off the map.
Right.
So the first day of collecting donations, we were all prepped for Florida. That's where we were going to go. We had a location going. And then it wasn't so bad. I mean, it was bad, but Florida's used to hurricanes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we got together and we said, listen, I'm still seeing a lot of stuff going on in North Carolina. These people were not prepared. It's getting cold. All of the above. Let's reroute to North Carolina. So the second day of donations, we were then knew we were going to go to North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So you were, what date did you guys end up here in North Carolina?
So we got to North Carolina Monday morning.
Okay, so pretty deep into the situation here.
Yeah, that would have been like
we did fundraising Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay,
it was 2 days of fundraising or donation drive, and I mean we had to go from just a little cargo trailer of 20 feet to now a 40-foot trailer. And we also had an additional 40-footer, but we ended up combining everything. So we ended up bringing 60 feet and 20,000 pounds of supplies that was raised in 48 hours, along with $7,000 in cash donation.
That's amazing.
Incredible.
It really
48
is.
hours.
And how did you, I honestly don't know, how did you get linked up with our church?
It's
I
been-
have no idea.
So I will say, if I ever do this again, which I do, there will be a lot more planning when it comes to where we're going. But I went to a place in Spruce Pine, and I just felt like maybe I wasn't needed there, and just didn't have the greatest experience. And so Vivian from the church had actually seen one of my posts when I was en route here. I hadn't deleted the post yet, and I was like, I'm en route to North Carolina. Where do I go? And she commented, and she was like, hey, we're here in Marion. Like, we've been kind of overlooked. She's like, I haven't got donations in a while, and I'm running super low.
Mhm.
So that's how I ended up here.
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
my God.
Okay. Shoot.
It's literally
just-
been like so-and-so knows so-and-so, so-and-so knows. It like,
Total word of mouth.
yeah. And by the
Yeah.
time you get to the first person that you originally talked to and the person you're working with now, they don't know each other.
Yeah.
Wow.
You know?
Yeah. No
So.
kidding. So the first place what did you see in Spruce Pine that you didn't like?
Oh, yeah.
So we
If
stayed.
it's anything negative, go ahead and say it. You just
Yeah.
ain't got to say no names or nothing
Yeah,
like that.
so-
You know, if you don't want
Whatever
to.
you want to
Um,
say is up to you.
Initially, we were looking for a place, and someone said Spruce Pine was hit really hard, and they were hit.
Oh, absolutely.
But they also have they do have a lot of
Abundance of
donation centers.
Yeah.
And a specific center was like, hey, like, we don't have a lot and we have a huge need here. Like, you're welcome here. Blah, 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 blah. We get there, and right off the bat, I felt misled because this place was the size of, like, almost a Walmart. And it was
Wow.
organized like a Walmart. I mean, they had jellies over here, pasta sauce here, Gatorade here.
You saw a place.
I mean,
Yeah.
to the ceiling. They had propane stashed. They had. I mean, they made my donation look like
Yeah.
nothing. And so that was really odd. So then we get there and we're like, okay, well, I've been making all these posts in the Spruce Pine Facebook page, and I'm telling them where they're at, and I'm getting so much traction.
Mhm.
That was really weird too. Why would I be getting so much traction if I was at a place that was knowingly doing donations, right?
Yeah.
So, since I've been to North Carolina, I haven't been on time once. I don't know if it's the mountains and being from Texas, but everything takes forever to get to.
It
It
does.
does.
So, I was 2 hours
Yeah.
late to arriving, and I start getting messages that, hey, you have a line out here. Then I start getting, like, upset messages. Hey, like, we're leaving because we were completely berated here. Hey, and I can read some. I mean, it was just really upsetting. So when I pull up and I get set up, I was, one of the things that was so important to all of us was, it wasn't a free-for-all, but it was take what you need.
Yeah.
No
Right.
questions asked. Now, there were certain supplies that you couldn't take more of one, right?
Right.
Like a camp stove, the
Yeah.
propane
Right,
cylinder.
right.
But as far as anything else, like, take what you need. And everybody was super good about that. I didn't see a single person taking more than they should have or that I had to question. However, the people of this organization were like, don't give to that person. Don't give to that person. Watch out for them. He literally wanted me to do hand signals with him.
What?
Yeah, he's like, if I do this, it means don't give it to him. If I do this, it means give it to him. And that was
Oh my
really
God.
odd. The other thing that was really odd was there was some supplies that I just was not prepared to be such a great need, such as propane and camp stoves. I didn't even come with heaters because I didn't think it was going to be cold up here.
Right.
So I
Oh,
only
it was 80
had,
degrees like 4 days ago.
yeah,
You know?
I think I started with 80 camp stoves. And for every camp stove, I bought the little green propane bottles, and they came in a pack of 3. So every propane stove came with 3 little cylinders of propane. I was tapped out quick on those. So I went and talked to the guy, and I said, hey, I still have people in line that are wanting these, and I know that you guys have a bunch in there. They had, I mean, a whole room that was just propane, little cylinders. I mean, they probably had over 500 to 700 of them.
Oh,
And
my
then
Lord.
same with the stoves, they had a lot of those too. And they didn't want to offer theirs up. So it was like I was at a
Wow.
donation center, but I was the only one providing the donations. Like, theirs were off limits to the people of their
Wow.
community in need.
That's interesting.
So
And this was just a community organization. This wasn't like a government
it was
thing.
a
or
community
nothing like that.
organization.
That's really sad.
yeah, there was a lot of really like bad vibes there. I mean, I know that there's crime everywhere, there's looting everywhere, but he was like kind of scaring us. I remember our first night, we were gonna stay there, like on site. We had, like, this is how unprepared we were. There's obviously no hotels, so we brought an air mattress in the back of my car.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna stay in the car. And before I even ask him if we can, he's like, are you guys packing? Like, if you guys could stay here tonight, that'd be great, but you need to be packing a weapon. He's like, if you see a flashlight through the trees, if it goes like this, it's me. If it goes any other way, it's not me. And it was just really scary.
Wow, yeah.
It was really scary. And low key, looking back, I feel like maybe he was a target for people to come rob that place because they knew everything he had and they knew that he wasn't giving it up.
Yeah, he was almost making himself a target.
Right.
His
and
attitude, not because he had stuff.
Right. And like people are desperate. So we ended up not staying there. We stayed at the Walmart by the Cajun Navy, just because we were a little bit worried. And then I think the straw that broke the camel's back was I had planned on making hot meals. And so the following day I cooked spaghetti for like over 150 people out of our own pocket, not even out of our donations, like out of my husband and I's own pocket. And I realized I forgot drinks. But right when you walked in the donation room was all the drinks. And they had like the big powdered thing of Country Time lemonade. And I had the drink dispense. I said, can I have that to feed the people tonight? I forgot to buy drinks.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm sorry. We can't do that.
Wow. Yet
they came and ate a plate of my spaghetti. So that was like a big deal. And then there was kind of some wheeling and dealing at the end. We brought in 100 gallons of gas and 100 gallons of diesel. And like my husband's just nice and he trusts everybody. I see all the volunteers from there coming up the hill, like from where he was pumping with big 10-gallon fuel things. And he had filled up 8 gallons. So he filled up 80 gallons of fuel for them, which left me with 20 gallons of fuel for anybody else that came in.
Oh, Lord.
So once I found that out, that also wasn't cool. So we were nice about it, but we went ahead and packed up and we were going to find somewhere
else. It sounds like she was dealing with organized crime.
It was very weird. It was
insane.
So weird. Like the guy would like go with other groups of people that would like come in, other volunteers, and they would like go and like whisper. It was so weird. It was the worst vibes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And did you guys, you mentioned the Cajun Navy, like, did you guys talk to them? Or they've been out doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so we had actually touched base with Cajun Navy before we came down here. That was the plan, to kind of link up with them. But I've found since being here that I think a lot of these organizations, they have so many people that want to come and volunteer. Like, they don't remember Sadie from 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And so the spot's already been filled. And then on top of that, Cajun Navy was on so much of a larger scale than I was. And I really wanted to be boots on the ground, whereas Cajun Navy wanted us to like drop off at distribution centers, whereas like I wanted to be there and like I wanted to go meet people. I wanted to go door to door. Maybe that was selfish of me, but so we just kind of ended up doing our own thing. It seemed that working better that way.
Completely. They seem like cool dudes.
They were very cool though. I didn't get any bad vibes from them at all.
And they
really
seem to be working really, really hard too.
That's what I'm saying. They're just like on so much of a bigger scale than we are that like we were just underqualified, you know. But we did meet up with them at Walmart. They were really nice. I like them. Eventually, I think this is something that's like on my heart. I want to do more of this in the future, and I would like to get linked up with them.
That's great. Absolutely. For sure. So did you go like into the community and see the wreckage and all that, or did you kind of set up shop at a predetermined spot? So
when we rolled into Spruce Pine and we rolled up to that organization, we did have to drive through some pretty devastating spots in Spruce Pine. And then we had also put on, like, when we did the spaghetti dinner, that we would run supplies or meals to you. And so we did get to run some meals to some people. There was 2 elderly women that I wonder how they're doing. They weren't too bad as far as, like, devastation. They just didn't have any power, running water. They had power lines, like, literally, like, draping their home. Mm-hmm. And they were really old. And you could tell they were, like, in Depends. And so maybe that wasn't getting taken care of very well. They just were in like a really rough shape. But we brought them spaghetti, we brought them more Depends, we brought them other stuff. But like there's people since this journey that I'm like, I wonder how they're doing. I wish I would have gotten their number.
Right,
you know?
Right. But it's so much happening at one time that you're kind of,
Well, then you ended up at our church.
Mm-hmm.
How?
So Vivian had reached out on my post, and it was literally when I was just kind of getting to my wits' end with where I was at.
Yeah.
You were up there
And I
just
was-
a couple of days in Spruce
Yeah,
Pine?
so I was up there Monday and Tuesday, and then I'm here Wednesday and Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, so Monday and Tuesday, and then Vivian, her, and I was like literally just desperate to go anywhere else. But it's kind of weird. It's like hard finding a place, you know, on social media because everything's just so within the community, you know.
Yeah.
So when Vivia said that, so then when I got to Marion, I was like a little bit concerned again. I was like, okay, Marion's like pretty clean. Like it was a lot, it weathered better than Spruce Pine. And I was like, did I just get done over again? But it wasn't until, you know, like I learned the motives of the church here, and it was like getting it out. You know, this is just a hub where we know we can get in and out with trucks and trailers, but we're taking it to like really crazy places.
Yeah, I don't know if she's seen it, but where we were yesterday, when you
Oh,
go
it's
up
5
past like
minutes.
Tahoma and stuff up to
Mhm.
80, that's
Yeah.
still Marion.
Yeah.
It's just not Marion proper, the
I
city or
guess,
whatever.
yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean? And
Yeah.
that's some of the worst. There ain't even nobody left over there.
Yeah.
That was
There's nothing.
Spruce Pine. It's funny you say that about Spruce Pine because I'm in a Spruce Pine chat thing,
Mhm.
and I'm also in a few of their groups. And that whole vibe you're describing has been the same thing for me, where it's like they're the most active, they talk the most, but it's like, oh my God, we have an empty place that needs a bunch of stuff. And then the next post is like,
Don't
Spruce
bring
Pine
any more
don't need
stuff.
nothing, don't
Mhm.
bring anything. Unless you're
It's
going to
very
set an appointment, don't
confusing.
come. And I'm just
Mhm.
like, my God, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it was like 5 minutes after I told her to tell you that they needed stuff at a new location that I found out that they were at like not wanting anything.
Yeah. It's just
It's
been.
like maybe it's just different groups of people like aren't communicating with each other or something.
I will say, like, next time, it will just be myself. Like, me and my crew that comes up here dictating where we go. Because not to the fault of anybody that had good intentions on telling me to go somewhere. It was just that the need had already been filled. But at the
Right.
same time, like, I have to watch, like, my resources. So, like, yesterday, we worked with Camping World, which Jason Seidel, he's super cool. Like, love what they're doing over there. Basically, Cajun Navy, and I can't remember their name, but they're out of Morganton. They own an electric company over there. They have a huge warehouse, and they're intaking all the stuff from Cajun Navy, and then along with other donations, they're palletizing it and then distributing it. So Camping World is in on it too, the one in Marion. They're receiving donations, and then basically how do I explain it? They're receiving donations, but they're also receiving pallets from that place that they're distributing. So we met them through Danielle here at the church, Danielle Gossett. We went over there and we got to do some donations through there as well, but we went up a mountain, like past Little Switzerland, past Spruce Pine, Elk Park, and Banner
Okay.
Elk.
Yeah.
And we went, like, we're hauling a skid steer to offload the pallets, and then on the other trailer, 10 pallets. One trailer had like 20,000 pounds on it, and the other one had like 10,000 pounds. That's not fun going up those hills or down that hill, and then to get up there, and they're like, yeah, we need a skid steer to offload. We don't have any way to offload. So we bring the other truck up there. That's 2 trucks going up the mountain. They had a skid steer. So, but I get it. It's literally just a game of telephone, so you have to be
Pretty
patient
much,
and everything.
Wow.
But I do think next time, like today was my first day that I felt so productive because I finally was like, okay, I'm just going to go out on my own, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I kind of ran a lot of circles in it. Like I said, it's not hate on anybody. I think everybody wants to help, and it's just who gets there first,
Pretty much.
you know?
Yeah.
But you don't know the other person or their ETA, right? So you guys may
Right.
show up at the same time or an hour after the other, and then, okay, well, let's find somewhere else that
I mean,
needs
it's
help.
a good problem to have that so many
Right.
people are trying to help, but yeah,
Still,
it's
it makes
the
it hard when
logistics
it's
of it.
coming out
Mhm.
And you guys are in the
time.
business of logistics,
Yeah.
so it's got to make your head want to explode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I do for a living. I
Didn't
dispatch
you-
all the trucks. So
You guys got stuck, didn't you? Or
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Something happened up there?
Yeah, so we were in Banner Elk. Let's see. Yeah, Banner Elk to deliver some pallets to a church. And but we have this problem in the trucking industry as well. Asking someone, hey, I'm on a 40-foot trailer. Can it fit in there? And they're like, yeah, no problem. Okay, it is not your lawn mowing trailer.
Yeah.
Right.
Like,
I mean, this is
So
a big-
now we are 65 feet long. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
That's the total length of this. And a lot of people, I guess, don't put that together. And so we got up on the mountain, and it's like a super sharp curve. The mountain's here, and it's straight up, and then there's a big old tree where you have to turn. So we couldn't even cut across, to make it like. So then it was just wild. So we had to unload the skid steer because while he's trying to back up and turn, it was so heavy that.
Yeah.
So we unload the skids down the side of the mountain. We're trying to get it. We can't. We get stuck. Like the end of the trailer buries into some guy's driveway. He's not happy. We finally get turned around, and there was another church about a quarter mile up, and I called Jason. I was like, Jason, I got to unload here because there's just no way I can make it up there. So we unloaded the pallet at that other church. They're within 3/4 of a mile from each other. Y'all share.
Yeah.
So.
So you got what all? I know there's a bunch of machinery here. Is that all you guys' stuff?
That's all of us.
Like all that.
So we have 2 enclosed cargo trailers, 20 feet each. We have 2 40-foot flatbed trailers. We have 1, I think maybe a 25-foot trailer, 3 4-wheelers, 1 skid steer.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
And are the people from Wisconsin with you?
They're not. So we met up at the place in Spruce Pine. We were about to roll out. They were trying to back in because they had a screwed up driveway too. They were trying to back in. My husband goes down there to help them back in, and then me and the wife just get to talking. And basically they were like us. They wanted boots on the ground. They came all the way with all this equipment. They wanted to put it to use. And I was like, well, if you want to do that, this isn't the place.
Yeah.
And
they're kind
so
of
it's
taken care of.
Yeah. So then I was like, but I'm heading to this place in Marion. Vivian is there. She's our point of contact. And I was like, if you want to roll with us, you can. And they're like, let's go.
That's great, though. It really is the way that comes together that way. And have you guys had to really get out there in them side-by-sides just to get to people's houses?
You were in Swananoa today, right?
Yeah. Swananoa is bad. So I haven't got the chance to get out on the equipment yet. Going back to kind of the logistics thing, we were supposed to get out some places. So right now, the guys are actively working on putting care packages together that will go out on side-by-sides to Swananoa, to Old Fort. And then I think they're going to try and hit up Bat Cave as well and some of those other areas that are a little bit more higher up in the mountains. But yeah, we have got a chance to use the skid steer when they went and cleared somebody's driveway today in Asheville. They used chainsaws and all that stuff. So that was a super smart move to bring the skid steer. And it'll definitely be put to use tomorrow and the next day for sure.
Oh, so you guys are clearing stuff for people?
Yeah, they're doing whatever. These guys are grease monkeys. They will clear your thing. They'll clear your land. You can't get out. Your vehicle's not running. They own a transmission shop. That's what they do. They brought all their tools, everything.
Wow.
It's pretty cool.
So you've seen some of the worst stuff out there now, and you said Swananoa was real bad.
Mm-hmm.
How so? I mean, I may know, but tell other people.
Swananoa was really bad, and that was today, and it just instantly put me in a bad mood. Even just getting to Old Fort, because there's no publicity of this on the news. Not even really much on social media, which I was surprised, because you normally have your village, how do you say it? Vigilantes? I don't know. Vigilantes.
Yeah.
You have vigilantes that are talking for everybody and telling everybody where the damage. I did not hear much about Old Fort or Swananoa or whatever. And so my husband and I, it was just kind of clustered in here, and I was like, all right, I have some totes ready. Let's just go hit the road. And it made me mad. I was like, man, if I would have known this, I feel like my time is wasted. Not wasted here at the church, but I could have been distributing the supplies from the church to there. Had I known 20 miles down the road was complete devastation.
Mm-hmm.
So this one lady we met, Dara, she really, she was heavy on my heart. Ever since I've met her today. She was one of the most special people I've met. She had a beautiful place right there on the creek. She was she was on Old 70, so there's the new 70 highway. So she was really cute. She had this little creek, and then she could see downtown from from across the creek. And she said that creek was so little, her grandkids could wade across it. It was waist deep on them, and they could throw rocks across. It is now a full-on river. It's now a full-on river. She's right there by Okie Doke or whatever.
Yeah, I think I
It's
know
like
exactly what
right
you're
there.
talking about.
Um,
Yeah, that was a stream.
when you
But now
pull in,
it's, what is it? Is it basically like the water's diverted to
it's a
go?
river. It's a
So, yeah, so
river.
what was over
Not
there?
even
Yeah.
diverted. It's just so wide now.
Huh.
And when you pull into the area, you think this is kind of a crummy area until she sent me pictures. Showed me pictures. Her place was beautiful. Like, it was out of a picture. It was so pretty, so green. She's like super into like decorating her yard. It was so cute. She said that they woke up that morning and they had gotten the flash flood, and the water had rose higher than it ever had before past one of her bushes, and she told her husband, all right, like, we need to go. She said she anticipated to do some sheetrock and flooring, and she's like, I came there, my house is gone. Like, it's
Oh my God.
there's not even remnants. It's like down the stream. And so is
Basically
their
just
other
the foundation.
not even the foundation.
Oh my God.
It's gone. It's
That's what we
literally
were seeing yesterday.
It's all dirt, right? Just,
yeah, it looks like a dump.
Yeah.
It literally looks like a facility, like a county's dump.
Yeah.
The river is so wide. Her vehicle was swept away. They were in her husband's vehicle, and it's literally gone. I saw her today from when we were coming in on the dirt road, and there was a bunch of tents. There were mobile homes pushed on top of each other. There was people in tents, and that was like, I was like, babe, pull over. And we went in there, and she was good on donations, but she definitely needed like help. Like, she needed like hands-on help. She was digging in the mud, and she was pulling out her heirloom cast iron pans. She was finding them.
Wow.
And I got a video. She had found her house, she said, a couple miles down the creek, and the guy whose property it landed on had her arrested, like called the cops, and they came out there and got her for trespassing. And she's like, my whole house is there.
Are you kidding?
So I guess her husband snuck back out there, and the only thing he found right away was a tote, and it was all her family pictures.
Oh, that's
They're
great.
all covered in mud, but she's like doing her best to clean them and fix them.
Wow,
So
that's
she
great, though.
is there was an abandoned home on the property that had been abandoned for 20 years, has been leaking for 20 years. It should be condemned. It is full of black mold, and they are inside that house, inside a tent. It's that bad.
Oh, wow.
And it's freezing cold, people.
What broke my heart was not only seeing her valuables chained up, because she has to chain them up. Where can they go? They have a dirt bike that's chained up and a generator, so nobody will steal it, which is absolutely insane. But two, she wanted to show us like where they were staying, and you walk around, the porch is like dilapidated. It's like falling apart, but that's kind of where they've made like their living area. And she had started finding like her old yard ornaments and was like putting that in the entryway.
Oh my God.
And it was just like, that made me fall apart. Like, it made me feel like she was prepping to be there for a long time.
Yeah.
Like, she knew her situation wasn't changing for a long time. And the issue is, as she said, FEMA's been out. They say she's qualified for housing, but she's like, the housing's 100 miles away to the nearest hotel. She's like, I don't have a vehicle.
Yeah.
She's like, how can I get back and forth? She's like, I still have to work on my property, and I don't even have a vehicle. And then she's like, on top of what they're approving me for, it's not even enough for 3 nights in a hotel with the prices that they're charging.
Oh my God. Yeah, I heard there's a lot of gouging and stuff.
Yeah. And she's like, I can't even get to all these FEMA appointments and Red Cross appointments that they want me to, because it's all red tape, and you got to go here, and you got to go there. And she's like, my car is gone. My car is gone. So.
Yeah, how do you do that? Were most of the area you're in Old Fort, where basically most of the homes are destroyed.
Yeah, everyone has a red sticker on the door that's condemned. It smells really bad, and that's not even me being disrespectful, because nobody can help it, but you can smell the mildew, you can smell the sewage, and my husband says I'm crazy, but you can smell death.
Oh no,
you can smell it.
We've smelled it, and being from where I'm from, I know the smell.
Right.
I'll just put it like that. And anybody who's had boots on the ground here since the beginning knows that there's a lot more death than anyone
because it's buried. It's buried
in those embankments. And that's the thing I was gonna say. The water. You mentioned the water purifying thing. I was watching that guy I'd mentioned before we did a podcast today, Bear Independent, and the water coming from where all this kind of started in Tennessee, that was already the people were already getting sick because of chemicals being dumped there. There's actual nuclear stuff, that all kinds of things, and now you're adding to it, like you said, there's mildew, there's literal death, animals, human beings. There's sewage. There's more chemicals that were dumped, whether purposely or not, in Asheville, where you can, as nasty as it is, you see like soap bubbles almost on top.
Yeah.
So people are having to, if they're going to bathe, that's the water they have. Or if you're drinking water, I don't think Old Fort has public water yet.
They have
But
no
if
one
you have a
else.
well, I mean, obviously this is what you're getting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can't filter all this stuff from what he was describing. He's like a prepper guy, and he's like, it's not that simple. There's really no way to clean this water.
Well, Spruce Pine just made an announcement on their government Facebook page that the water treatment facility has been destroyed, and the sewage will go in the river from now on till it's
Yeah,
fixed.
no, I did see that. Yeah, that was actually from their official Facebook page.
Yeah.
I did see that.
Yeah.
Because they have nowhere else to put it.
And it's wild because I don't get sick very often. I'm sick,
Yeah.
but I'm not. I mean, I have some allergies going on, and I have some like internal stuff.
Yeah.
Like I felt like I had food poisoning, but it's been long enough that if I had food poisoning, it'd be past. And my husband's the same way, and I'm convinced we got bacteria or something from somewhere.
Yeah,
I've been
from
sick
water.
since this started, like,
too.
with an infection, lymph nodes and stuff that won't go away, and my immune system's great. I'm in shape. Like, this doesn't happen to me anymore.
Right.
But all of a sudden, since we've been out here, minimal contact with stuff, honestly. But just being out here, it's like, yeah, I think that might have something to do with it.
I mean, but like you drive down the roads, like Swananoa and Old Fort. I mean, it's a dust bowl. It's a dust bowl, and they think how many of those homes have asbestos in them?
Yeah.
The insulation, the sawdust, the bacteria. I mean, you know what I'm saying? That dust is not just dirt.
No, you're breathing it in. I mean, like over by Lowe's and Wendy's and stuff down here at the corner. It's just, it's dust city down there. And it's like you drive through the parking lot to go to the grocery store, and it's just dust, and you're breathing that dust in, and it's just like,
what's in
you just
it?
feel
You know what I'm
like,
saying? Like,
and knowing that the water was up above Lowe's and stuff before it went down, and that they had pulled bodies out of that area right back there, and it's like, and we're breathing all that dust in every day.
yeah, and there's no telling where
If you
they
go
came
there.
from technically, because
Right.
it's a river system and tributaries is very complex. I
Right.
can't figure it out, and I like to think I'm somewhat of a fisherman. And
Yeah.
I can't even figure out. There's the guy I was talking about was actually breaking down, because he's always been out there with FEMA and military. He was military, all this kind of stuff, and he was talking about one of the things that he saw was that people were displaced, the ones that did survive, and their homes would be condemned, but they weren't told about it.
Mm-hmm.
So they go back to their home, and they're in there mucking up this stuff and tearing all this nasty stuff out of the walls and actually putting the work into their home to fix it, only to find out that not only did they just get themselves very, very sick, but all the work was for nothing. Any donations, money, anything, there's no communication to them.
Dara was touching on that today. She said that because they lost so much property line to the new river to where it washed out at, I mean, she lost a good like 15 yards. How far in that river has come in, and then you can't build right on the edge. So now they're saying that her property would be condemned, but she said nobody will come down here and say it. She's like, but I'm hearing from other officials that it's going to be condemned because it's now in a floodplain, and it's now like not enough property to build on, essentially.
Oh, wow.
And she said that an organization said that they would come in and they would put temporary tiny homes throughout there.
I've been hearing
and that
hopes of that.
the county declined it, so they wouldn't.
Really?
That's what she was told. Which is wild. And I was telling you this earlier.
I was just going to ask you to say that.
My husband and I met in the oil field. We both pipelines. And a big thing for oil field camps is FEMA trailers. And the man camps rent them out, I think, from FEMA, or either they've purchased them super, super cheap. But when Hurricane Katrina hit, there was hundreds of thousands of these FEMA trailers You can tell a FEMA trailer anywhere. It is just like any other camper, but it's completely white. There's no decals and cool straps. It's solid white. And they normally have a very open concept. You can still drive down to New Orleans and you will see them abandoned in the field or wherever, right? I know personally of a place in West Texas that has minimum 500 of them just sitting that occasionally they rent out, but not very often anymore because so many of these oil field companies have actually now done a little bit more infrastructure. Why are those not here?
Yeah.
Why are they not here? Why are they not here?
Have you even seen the FEMA people
That's what
out?
I was gonna. I have not seen a single FEMA person since I've been here, and I have not seen a single FEMA person. I have heard a lot of no showing from FEMA. I talked to a gentleman and his wife. They, when this catastrophe hit, they hightailed to her mom's house in New Jersey. Stayed up there. FEMA made the appointment. They booked the flight back. Got here. FEMA didn't show.
Oh my God.
So I heard that firsthand.
Oh.
They were upset. I saw one Red Cross worker. She came to where we were in Spruce Pine, and she walked around with her hands in her pockets, looked in the totes on my trailer, and just wandered around being nosy. Didn't say hi to anyone. Didn't say, can I help you with anything? Here's my card. Here's where I'm located. Did not say a word. She literally looked like she was in there inventorying what we had and then walked out. And in my opinion, if you're here and you're just in my way, you're just bringing bad vibes. Like,
she's just
go
not
home.
a people person. Man.
Go home. Go home.
When you guys went over to Camping World, right behind there was where the military was. Are they still there?
They're still there, and they also are in Swannanoa. We saw them. We haven't had any interaction with them. They were like walking around on the Camping World parking lot and stuff too. But I mean, I'm sure they're doing a lot. Dara told me today. So there was a portion of her property that was washed away, and there was a manhole, like the sewer manhole or whatever, right there. She said the military came in with a big gravel truck. Mind you, there's like all these piles of rubble and everything else. They come in with their rock truck. They uncover the manhole. They pour gravel where the manhole's at, and then they leave. They had an empty dump trailer. They couldn't load up some of that crap debris that she has all over her property. They didn't say hi. They didn't say, can we help you with anything? All they did was worry about their manhole and left.
Wow.
I'm not saying anything, like my family's military.
No,
I'm just saying that I
too.
feel like their presence, they're the military, they're not going to be super friendly. But I get they're helping maybe with like infrastructure and stuff, but I feel like they could be a little bit more involved.
Yeah, and they claim that, well, they're here, so anybody who's heard that the 82nd and 101st, was it?
Yeah.
That the people had heard that they were gone because militias here were rising up and threatening FEMA.
I heard
which
that.
Which doesn't make sense. In other words, if you've got the Army here helping, or the National Guard here helping, and I don't know, people don't realize FEMA's a separate thing, but you've got some people threatening FEMA rather than running away and saying we're leaving because we're mad at you. Wouldn't the Army just defend FEMA is our militia that strong and scary? There is no militia out here, people. It's not real. It's a false government claim.
I've seen no militia. I've seen nothing of that sort. I haven't seen FEMA, and I've seen these accusations, but I mean, yeah, $750 is insulting. It's a freaking joke.
It is.
But I also think anybody would be happy to get it.
Oh, we'd be thrilled.
If it meant anything.
Yeah.
Right?
We know people that just all of a sudden went from seeing that the government's response was horrible to thinking it's great because they got $750.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just think FEMA just needed a way out. Not that they were ever really here anyways. And I think that FEMA and Red Cross are in the way. To be honest, I think if they are here, they're in the way. When you picture Red Cross, I think of tents set up.
Me too.
I think of hot
tents.
meals.
Yeah.
I think of showers. I think of medical care. I think of donations. I think of them getting involved even with non-government organizations such as this church. Anywhere. They're not anywhere to be found. I saw one Red Cross truck by Little Switzerland hauling ass down the interstate or down the highway. And it was in a Penske truck with a decal that said Red Cross.
Wow.
You know, I mean,
So you've seen the same probably that we've seen, where it's kind of just good old boys out there helping each other.
Well, yeah, you've seen
And
everybody here.
I'm a parolee. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we are.
These guys from
Well.
Wisconsin, these guys from Wisconsin are like grease monkeys out of a garage. But these are the people that are coming in, you know?
yeah.
I mean, where is the government?
And
I
spruce
mean,
pine sounds kind of weird, but all we've seen also, well, not all, but a lot of what we've seen is just neighbor helping neighbor. Like it's
Yeah.
community, real community.
Yeah.
That thing there sounds weird, like they allowed maybe the wrong few people to take charge. That's what that sounds
So
like.
I made a
It's so
joke, and this
weird.
is not, there's no body shaming or anything, but anytime we had hot meals or anything, the people that were running that place never ate, and I said it's because they're inside eating all the donations.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. It was just the weirdest vibe, super secrecy, and everybody, like, they seemed really aggressive with like every approach. He just kept saying that I needed to have protection. I saw some guy who was like working with him come back really angry. He's like, I'm not gonna go places where I have a gun put in my face. And I'm thinking in my head, if I've not been scared to walk up and knock on someone's door.
Yeah.
Because I know that I
haven't
have
seen
good
any of
intentions,
that.
and I feel like anybody could see that.
Mhm.
I'm not scared of that. Whereas they're telling me that I need to be packing and I need to be. Maybe they're the problem. Like,
Yeah.
maybe that's why he's having these issues, because he does have a target. He's aggressive and he's mean,
Right.
and people know what he's doing. I
Rubbing
probably
people the
wouldn't
wrong
want
way.
somebody like that coming up on my house either,
Mhm.
you know? Because I have never, and it really worried me. Like, I'm a felon, I can't pack a gun.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So when I was first getting that, when I was hearing that from him, I was like, God bless. Like, I'm coming here to help and I have to worry about a gun.
That's insane.
And
See, we haven't heard that anywhere else.
I didn't see it anywhere. And I really think that it was just maybe he was the problem.
Well, he might have been paranoid. When you do people wrong a lot, you start thinking they're out to
Yeah.
get you. You know what I
That's
mean?
it.
That could have been it.
Yeah.
I mean, have you basically had really pleasant interactions with people that are out there doing the work?
Yeah, I've had really good experiences with everybody. There wasn't anybody that I. There was some guy in Old Fort. That was the only bad experience I had, but I think he was just really twacked out. He was mad I wouldn't give him a ride, but I couldn't if he wanted to. My car was literally packed full with totes. My dogs were on the floorboard by my feet. He was pissed. He was like, I'm coming here to help you give me a ride, you know, but I'm sorry, dude. He was like, I'm just too lazy to walk. I was like, I don't know, get to stepping, brother.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, everything else has been super pleasant. Everybody's been really, you know, want to talk, want to share their story, because I wanted to document this too. Like, when I'm going out to these places, I did want to take pictures for my community to see, like, where we're at and what we're doing. I also don't want to be insensitive and take
Right.
pictures of someone's life
In their
scattered on the
worst
ground.
moments, right? Yeah,
Right.
it's hard.
So, like, I've asked everybody, like, Haley, do you mind if I take some pictures? And even then, like, I felt kind of guilty when I was, like, recording Dara's place. She gave me total permission. But, a part of me felt guilty. Like, it was, like,
Yeah.
that was private. Like, the stuff she was digging up. She was literally hands and knees. She had a paint stirrer stick from Home Depot. She was digging them up out of the ground. I'll send you guys a video, post it with this. It was absolutely wild.
Just kind of trying to hold on to something from what's now your past life.
Right.
That's how I
That's
take that.
the things that people out there need to know, though. I mean, and see, at least in some form, because people really don't. They don't know.
No, they don't
they're
understand
not-
the magnitude
People haven't even
of
heard of
this.
Swannanoa.
Right.
No
No.
one's, you know, like, no one's talking about it, and people are, oh, yes, they are. No, they're not.
Not really.
They're not. They're not
It's old
talking
news
about-
to people now. I hate to say it like
It
that,
is,
but
but
that's how
it's
it seems.
We're on day
wild.
21, and we're still living in, like, a third world country in places like that.
It's wild. We went to a fort, Old Fort. I keep calling it, I want to call it Fort Starting, Old Fort. So we just were driving through there, and there was mobile home parks that were just completely gone.
Yeah.
Everybody's stuff outside. There was this one house I went up to, and you could tell someone had been there. They had a lot of clean laundry. They had a lot of clean laundry hung up, and I went and knocked on their door. I was gonna like offer them some Tide and a couple other things. They didn't answer, but when I opened like the weather door, the screen door to the door to knock, you could instantly get like a huge waft of like wet, like mildew.
Right.
It's that bad. We kept wandering back there. We came up on a dead end. My husband was like, no, turn around. And I saw a guy in a skid steer, and I saw a camper out there that had a lot of fuel tanks and stuff. And we got out and talked, and a guy and his wife, come to find out, their home and their situation has been plastered all over social media for Old Fort. So maybe you know where I'm talking about. They lived at the end of a cul-de-sac. There was a mobile home park here, and all the mobile homes washed into their gully. They had mobile homes stacked on top of each other. They have like a mini shed on top of some vehicles. Her husband and her were like rescued off of the roof of their house, and they're out there. He's got a skid steer. I think she said someone loaned it to him, and he's out there and he's cleaning it up. And it's hard to see because I don't think there's any fixing the homes that they're cleaning up.
That's the thing. And
to be honest,
I hadn't even thought about this to that level. Like the homes that didn't get destroyed, completely washed away, aren't really livable.
No.
They've sat and they've molded for 21 days.
Mm-hmm.
The 2x4s, I mean, even just down to the bone stock of the home. And it's kind of a scary thought because everybody's on a budget. None of us were rich to begin with when this happened.
Mm-hmm.
Do we really think that they're using the high-end equipment and mold cleaners and all those things?
Right.
Really?
They're not exactly calling the greatest contractor.
They're doing it
to come
themselves.
over.
They're doing it themselves.
Which
I get. They have no other choice.
I keep hearing you should not do though, because it's actually going to make you sicker. It's going to end up condemned anyway.
Yeah, it's like, well, here's
I hate
the choice.
to say it,
like,
but you need to.
I rebuild my house with what
I
can, or
at the end of
I have no house.
But they have no other choice.
Yeah.
And I was asking her, so there was like a lady who was next door to them, and she lived in like an old Victorian home, and she was trying to salvage things. I remember she had some teacups out there. They were like covered in mud, and she was like cleaning them. And the lady who I had met was like, she's crazy. She's not going to be able to save that home. But in my head, I was like, y'all are both in the same boat.
Right.
You guys are both in the same boat. But what other option do you have? If my home was gone today and my insurance didn't cover it, I would probably have to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You have to. And you have to hope that you'll make more money someday and be able to whatever. But I guess you just got to thug it out for now.
Yeah.
You know? But I asked her, I said, where are all the people whose homes are condemned? Where are they? She's like, I don't know. And I don't know where they're. I mean, I guess maybe in the local hotels, but is FEMA paying for that? Because I called on a hotel room when we were up on the mountain last night in Banner Elk. We were so tired. We didn't want to drive down that hotel was sold. It was a Best Western. Was sold out till December. And then I've heard one night was open the other night here in town, and it was $360 a night.
In Marion?
Marion.
We don't even have a nice hotel.
It was the Hampton.
Yeah, that's kind of no disrespect to whatever corporation, but that Hampton is raggedy.
That should be illegal. But I was like, so if they're given $750, but they got themselves 2 nights,
right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And yeah, like they were saying at the beginning that actually, now I don't know if this is true, but FEMA was taking up the rooms basically.
Yeah.
That they came in here and that they were taking up the rooms, so then the people that they're supposedly helping didn't even have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
That's what I heard, but I can't.
My parents said they got
that.
a voucher or something to stay in a hotel or whatever for like 30 days or something, but or up to 30 days or something. I don't know, but my dad kind of. If you watch this, Dad, sorry, but it's damn true. You kind of overshoot things in the liberal way. So he knows we are very.
He's caping for the government is all.
But so I don't know what
weird.
the truth of that is or whatever. But if it is true that they got that, I do know that they are not, local. Everybody that I've heard that's gotten anything even near that, like a hotel stay over, like you said, it's far away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do they do it? They
and I've heard people
have
just get straight up turned down that lost their entire home and everything. And they're documenting it like daily on YouTube. So it's not as though they're just some guy throwing a video out there. They're like, here I am, here's my community, here's what I'm dealing with today. Just little updates and stuff.
I feel like this is something that I didn't like at the donation place. was they were judging people on, like, the vehicles that they came in. I drive an Escalade. Guess what? My credit's shit.
Yeah.
I'm late on a truck payment. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I
me
couldn't
too.
buy a house if I wanted to. I mean, some weeks I'm negative in my payroll. Like, just because I have a nice car doesn't mean shit. Really, it just means I'm more broke. It was a
Right.
stupid decision. It was a dumb decision. You know? And I didn't like that. And I feel like disaster hits everybody.
Yeah.
So what if they have some money in the bank? Are you going to hate on them because they're coming to a donation spot so that maybe they can use that money in the bank to build? I mean, really.
Right.
Yeah.
What are they taking that is so detrimental? They're
Yeah.
taking some canned goods because it's definitely not like we have fancy shit in here.
Right.
You know, it's really detrimental, like what that little person's going to take. That's so
Right.
dumb to me. And I
Exactly.
just, you know, disaster hit everyone equally as far as, I mean, obviously it caused more devastation for other people, but you
It's
lose
still-
everything,
yeah.
whether you're rich or you're poor.
Right.
You
know?
No, you're right. You're absolutely right. And it's like you said, if somebody's displaced from their home, they have nowhere to stay. Like, let's say you were at normal hotel prices, $150 a night or something. So how many months are you doing this?
Yeah.
You know, now you're talking $4,500 a month.
Mm-hmm.
That's some pretty high rent. You know
That's
what I mean?
double a mortgage.
Did you see a lot of kids out when you were out?
That was one thing I didn't see. I really thought that there was going to be a huge need for like formula, diapers, wipes. I'm going to assume that those people just hightailed out.
Well, we've
Okay.
had a lot of them. We've had a lot of people that needed it that have come in and
Mhm.
gotten a lot of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
As far as like being
I'm
out
not
there and
sure.
seeing it, I haven't seen it.
I bet you that in some way, like once they had communication, people probably sent the kids to go live with a different
hopefully,
relative
or
or
they were
something
able
like
to
that.
go somewhere or something. Yeah.
Have you heard people's, like, what is the overall feeling of people out there as far as how they feel toward the state, the county, the federal government, like
Yeah,
any of that,
the
or
response.
Everybody,
do they just not even
no,
consider it?
everybody is just like circled back to the same thing. Like, is Americans helping Americans, and we're all we have because nobody in office is doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
FEMA's not out here. Red Cross is not out here. The Army's out here, but I haven't seen the Army like necessarily like doing hot meals or providing shelters or anything like that. And those are some really important things they go along with rebuilding your town, right? Cleaning up the streets and stuff, you know. And so everybody has the kind of the same thing. Like, you know, we have so many people coming in from other states and stuff to take care of us, and like, thank you so much. Like, I have faith in humanity again.
Yeah.
And I think that, you know, I wish it didn't take a disaster like this to bring us together, but I don't remember if you guys remember how divided our nation was when BLM was a thing.
Oh,
Remember?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how divided we were? Like, imagine if this really just brought people back together, black, white, Mexican. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, people haven't
Absolutely.
cared about that, or at least I haven't, you know. And just, you know, seeing other people out here struggling. I mean, we were just watching TikToks, you know, back there in Texas, and was just thinking how freaking insane, you know, people are just gone. And then we're hearing horror stories, and I've heard more horror stories since I've been here. I've smelt it. Haven't seen it, but, you know.
Have you had people telling you I lost this many family members or neighbors or whatever the case may be?
Yeah, I've heard some really, like, really, really gut-wrenching stories for sure.
Because people, I mean, I even ask myself, like, why am I so hung up on, like, knowing a number? But it's
Right.
because, I don't know, there's something about it feeling downplayed and disrespectful
It is
to say 200
disrespectful.
people
Oh,
when
that toll rose to 213. I'm like, where?
So-
Down the
where
street?
people on the ground are able to say, okay, this embankment had 36. This is a one small community.
I was
You know, like they're able to go. You're able to put these things together from official people and go.
Yeah.
There's at least hundreds.
This was posted an hour in Swananona with Restoration Church Disaster Relief. This is breaking. Members of the Western Carolina Emergency Network have confirmed the discovery of at least 142 bodies in Buncombe County, North Carolina, 50 bodies along US 70 between Patton Cove Road and Asheville, 30 bodies near Good Loop Road in Swanona. The first one was in Swanona as well. 12 bodies near Asheville Christian Academy on Riverwood Road. That's like right by where she lives. She lives like around the corner. The
Oh,
Dara
wow.
lady.
Yeah.
3 bodies along Beachy Road. WCN has furthermore confirmed the distribution of 640 body bags at the request of first responders last week. So, I mean, I think looking at the devastation, to say that it's less than 200 is wild.
Well, just to
But
put
I
it in
feel
perspective, like this is coming from someone who was there and documented the whole thing. And that's they're independent from Grindstone Ministries. He was in a place called Little Germany, which is a tiny little village in Tennessee, like kind of where this whole thing kind of started. And at the beginning of it, in the little village area of the village, there were 72 homes,
Mhm.
which would mean, on average, there's probably a little over 200 people there. At the end of the devastation, there was the initial flood. There was 42 people left, and most of them took their own lives because the county allegedly were rebuilding this road so they could get in and out, and they were going to bring them food, supplies, and stuff. They never did. So after a few days, the people just gave up. But I say all that with the point of saying, if you've got that tiny little place, that it wasn't even wiped out quite like some of the stuff we see here and not as densely populated. Just mathematically speaking, you've got 200 people there, and then you've got the other 200 confirmed from whatever, and then you've got the Lake Lure situation. We've seen homes get swept away where people had 5 seconds to get out. And that's the other thing, like, I'm not sure if you know this or not, but most people didn't get any kind of evacuation
Right.
thing.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Is that anything that people told you and you talked to them, like, hey, this is what happened, I had this much time? Or
Yeah, so I've heard different, and I think maybe it just depends on like where you were, maybe as far as like upstream or downstream. Dara said she got 30 minutes, or they left 30 minutes before. Fort, what is it called?
Old Fort?
Old Fort. They said they got an evacuation notice. The majority of them were out. And the only reason that couple that I was talking about wasn't out was because they didn't think it was going to get so bad.
Oh.
But they said majority of the people were out there. So, but then I heard Spruce Pine, they didn't have any evacuation notice. They got like a flash flood warning on their phone, which who hasn't gotten that a bunch before,
Right.
So I think it really just is contingent on like where you were.
We got one, and
We live 3 doors down from here,
Uh-huh.
and we got a cop knocking at our door, just saying like, "Hey, because of the tropical storm that they're calling at the time, Lake James is going to possibly, reach this level, and it's nothing we've ever seen before. And if that happens, your area is going to flood. And if it does, we aren't going to be able to get to you. So like, you should probably get to higher ground if you can."
Right.
And I'm like, okay, I've never been through anything like this in my life. I'm like, should we go? I'm thinking it's overblown. I'm like,
I thought it was overblown. She called me and told me to rush home from Hickory,
I
and I'm
called the
thinking, for
neighbors
some
across
rain?
the street
Like,
who've lived here forever.
we're
It
from
was like,
Detroit, where there's feet of snow. I'm like, some
Right.
rain? Like,
yeah.
really?
I'm like, are you
Yeah.
guys gonna leave? Like, what are you guys thinking? And they were like, usually we wouldn't, but we are gonna leave. And I'm like, oh God. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I should probably go somewhere.
Now, her parents are in Old Fort, but they're outside of downtown. They're like basically on a dang holler. Like,
They're on the side of like half a mountain, kind of.
and they didn't get an evacuation
They
thing, so we
didn't
almost
get
went
any-
there.
We almost went there, and I'm really glad we didn't, because we probably their cars got demolished, and they were trapped for over 24 hours with no communication, because all of our communication went out. No one knew to get them or anything like that. They had to get chainsawed out of there, and all that fun stuff. So yeah, I can't even believe that our street got an evacuation at all. But
How was
nobody
it?
else.
Because it looks like it flooded like down this hill into the bank and that.
Yeah.
We're right where all
So,
that would drop.
Right where it drops. Yeah,
Behind
it's
the
like
barbecue
the
place.
bowl kind
Uh-huh.
of right there. So I guess that part of the road, and like over where like Lowe's is, where the water
That
was
did.
to the top, like all of that floods, and then they close the roads off, and nobody can get in or out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we had a
Couldn't-
couple feet of water, I guess, but we weren't
Yeah,
there.
We couldn't get into the
I couldn't
house.
get back to see if we had a house.
Yeah, we didn't know if we had a house for like 3 days.
I drove in the chaos of it the following day trying to get us food.
Yeah, 'cause we had nothing.
And I went, I was on my way to Hickory. I went to Morganton, because I had heard Morganton's great, it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I went there, and places that were normally like kind of like a downtown area where there's like doctor's offices and stuff was 6 feet deep of water with people on their own speedboats going to save people that were at
Yeah.
an appointment.
Yeah.
So it kind of came out of nowhere. I mean, rivers run through that town, but like you said, they kind of have a hold on how much rain they can handle,
Right.
all that kind of thing. So it was definitely not expected. So one thing I always stress to people is I keep seeing like, why don't people leave when they're told to evacuate? Most people didn't get an evacuation notice. The people
Right.
that did, it's like, listen, we're in the mountains.
People
Like
come here
Right.
to get away from hurricanes.
houses don't get washed away
Not
into.
here, not
No.
in this part of the state.
Well, and like how detrimental. This is what I was thinking. How detrimental is it going to be now? Because Milton was supposed to wipe Florida off,
Right.
Mhm.
and people were outside recording Milton.
Right.
What are they going to do the next time the hurricane actually comes?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just wild to me, and it just doesn't help the cause of like evacuate.
No.
Because I don't know if I would have evacuated either. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, my first.
Because you
thought
just don't
was
think
like,
it'd be so bad.
There's no way it's gonna be that bad.
And you
like-
kind of weigh it out, and you ask yourself, like, okay, I understand I'm being evacuated, but is everyone else, and does that mean that anywhere I'm gonna go is just as bad? And I'm sure
Right.
you've seen, like, say in Spruce Pine, or especially like Little Switzerland, any of these tiny places that, even if you were to evacuate, there's one road.
Right.
And if everything on that road is an evacuation zone, and then you get to the end of it and there's 100-foot trees
Right.
laying
Yeah,
across
now
it,
you're
now
stuck.
what?
Now you're on a mountainside.
Well,
There's
Now
a
you
creek
die in a
rising
car.
next to you.
It's
Some
like
of
you
the
die in a car as
people-
opposed to your house.
Some
Like
of the
that's
people
really
in
your choice.
Nashville, they were like, okay, well, we're leaving, but most of them didn't. Obviously, most of them didn't even have an evacuation notice. Some of them had shelter-in-place orders because of the
Yeah.
rain. They didn't want them driving out in the rain. It's like, okay, well, then, you saw what happened there.
It's just hard to imagine that it was 21 days ago, and I saw Sonona today in Old Fort, and if I didn't know, but I would have thought it happened 3 days
Yesterday,
ago.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Did you see where people in Swananoa are living in like tents and stuff?
Yeah, so at Dara's place, Dara is in an abandoned house, but she's in a tent in the abandoned house.
Right.
She doesn't utilize any of the other house because it's not livable.
Yeah,
It is
right.
literally, black mold is crawling on the walls. Like it's something out of a horror movie. And then her other neighbors that are right there, they didn't have a house to get into, but I think they're all men. So they're all staked out in tents. I think they got 5 or 6 tents out there.
Mm.
They're in tents. This is how naive I am. They had like some water bags on the tree, and I was like, "Oh, is that like a water filtration system?" She's like, "No, that's our shower."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I felt like such a dumbass. And I was like, "That's gotta be brutal," because I chickened out in Spruce Pine. I went to the portable shower, and it was ice cold, and I
Yeah.
literally like stood outside of it, and I washed what was necessary.
Mhm.
I went from Monday till today with no shower.
Right.
I was so happy to take a shower. I was so happy, but yeah, I mean, they're intense. That's what immediately drew me over there was when we were driving. I saw the tents. I was like, there's the tent people, because there's like this stigma there. There's like this rumor,
Yeah.
there's people in tents and stuff. But here's the thing that's like been, as someone who's came up here and volunteered, and like I said, I wasn't prepared because we planned this in 48 hours. It was like fly by the seat of our pants. There's so much hearsay. There's like, oh yeah, like no fault of his own. Jason said, this guy Brent, he is organizing over there in Ramsey Town, like they're calling it the hole, like they can't get in. This guy is running the kitchen and they're delivering. I call him and he's like, no, we're good. So I'm like, okay. So then he says, but hold on, there's this guy Dalton and he's like stuck. He's in Newton or Newland.
Newton. Or wait, there's both.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sure,
yeah.
I
There's
remember.
both.
No.
He's in one
Newton's
of them.
over by Hickory, but
I think
Newland's
it was
over this way.
Newland. I think it was over
Yeah.
this way, like between Spruce Pine and here, kind of.
yeah.
Or whatever. Anyways, he was like, yeah, he's stuck, like, and he knows a lot of other people that are stuck. I call him, he's like, I'm good. I was thinking of staging up donations at my house.
Wow.
I was like, okay. So there's a lot of, I think, misinformation or old information
Yeah.
that people are taking
Yeah,
as
see,
new
we
information.
didn't have phones that worked. Like, I just now, what was it, 5 days ago? I have phone service.
Mhm.
The only way I had phone service, and that's in Marion, in like downtown Marion.
Right.
And the only way I had any phone service for like almost 2 weeks was on Wi-Fi,
Yeah.
and we didn't have Wi-Fi for like a week
Yeah.
and a half. So it's like, yeah, if I passed any information along, it would have been old by the time I got to you.
Right.
Well, we were the first ones over here that like kind of got like internet back too, and so like all the people, in Old Fort and stuff, like my parents, they live like 15 minutes away from us, but they had no power and water obviously for a lot longer than we did, and the only place they could get internet signal even after they had power or anything was to come to my house or to go to Walmart. That was it. And so they're not even days are gone by, a week and a half's gone by, and they don't even know what's going on until they come
They're
to
seeing
our
videos
house,
going, oh
see
my
videos,
God.
and I'm like, we saw those videos 10
Yeah.
days ago.
It was like nerve-wracking. I don't know, like they designated me the leader, and I was okay with leading my husband because I boss him around all the time. But then the people from Wisconsin came, and then I was like the leader of all of us, and it was nerve-wracking because we would like show up somewhere on my word, right?
Right.
Yeah, like this person they say
It's like,
and now
really
it's
don't
not
know
now
nobody.
and now it's not just my money. Now I'm messing with their money, their fuel, and their resources to get up there, and I'm like, I'm sorry, like this is what I was told, So that was why today we were like, my husband and I were like, okay, I think we needed to step away a little bit too. Like there was a lot going on today, and I think we're just getting tired. There was so many people coming in, not hating on anybody, but there was like other organizations coming in,
constant.
pulling from inside here while I'm trying to make totes, and I was like, I gotta go.
It's
like,
extreme.
I gotta go for a little bit,
Yeah, it's overwhelming for sure.
But I'm glad we got out.
Some sort of organization is needed now that there is internet in most areas. Now there is still some areas that really don't have any, or they have Starlink and it ain't the best, and everybody's sharing it, I guess. But there needs to be some kind of organization, and not just let it fall on the government. Like that hasn't worked so far.
Well, yeah,
like,
clearly it's only been us since the beginning, so like we can't let it fall on.
In theory, the first things that and I've heard people that were working alongside them say that the first thing that you thought would be positive about FEMA is that they were going to come in and essentially, like you said, red tape, bureaucratic stuff, but kind of organized. In other words, everybody bring us your donations, and we're going to take them here, take them there, take them there, and then people are going to take them out to places. But like you said, what ends up happening is that they go to these distribution centers that are just like church organization distribution centers anyway, and they just sit there because all they did was get divvied up. There's nobody in line to like go take them somewhere. So now it's like, don't bring us anything.
Warehouse, yeah,
and it creates an attitude where people are like, what do you mean don't bring you anything?
Yeah, we had an issue in Burleson when we were gathering donations. We got inundated with clothes. And clothes are great, right? They were great. I haven't seen a huge need for them. I saw more like picking over what was cute, what was not, at this point. But of course, like, yeah, but what if it brings you joy, then yeah.
Right.
But as far as hauling it, like, I don't know haul anything heavier than I need to.
No.
Tara was like, girl, like, tell them no more clothes. Tell them no more clothes. So I have this lady come. She rolls up the first day of donations. And she's like, hi. She's like, I run this boutique. I'm going to drop off a ton of clothes, blah, blah, blah. And we're already full. Our first day, we're, like, full of clothes. There's so many. And we're not sorting through them. Like, I'm trying to. It's just not happening. There's so many things to do. And it's just trash bags of people's clothes. Which they were really nice. I will say, I have not came across, like, crappy clothes. Like, there was some stuff in there. I was like, ooh, I like that, But, so we tell her, we're like, we're so sorry. Like, I only have so much space, and I've already had to add another trailer. I was like, I can't take any more clothes, and I'm really sorry. And she's like, fine. And she left. Okay. She comes back the next day. And she is like hot walking it over to us. And she's like, I just want to let you know, I feel really offended that you guys wouldn't take my clothes. She's like, do you think I'm poor because I drive a crappy truck? She's like, I drive a Lincoln Navigator. It's just in the shop. And she's like, I own said boutique. And she's like, these are clothes off the rack. And I can see inside the bags. There's high-heeled shoes. There are bedazzled purses.
What the hell do people need that for right now to go to the
club? There was even lingerie in there.
What?
And this was not stuff that, one, did I have the time to sort through. 2, did I even want her shit at that point?
Yeah.
Because she pissed me off. Tara was so nice. Tara was like, well, I'm so sorry, like, that I made you feel that way. Like, we weren't, and she's like, you did make me feel that way.
Oh, wow.
You guys were judging me because of when I drive. And it was just a little truck. Nobody was hating on the freaking truck.
Yeah, she's
That
a
would
little self-conscious about her
never
truck,
even
so
crossed my mind. The
Right.
thought of what she rolled up and had no influence on the decision that I made.
Yeah,
I
it's
didn't
just,
want it
hey,
anymore.
we got too much.
Yeah.
Like, that's all
And
it is.
So then I kind of went on to spiel, and I was like, I didn't judge you by your truck. Like, I have no room to judge. Like, this is simply about space. I was like, look, my husband's truck, I was like, the side of it's caved in. It's a shit box, And I was like, this is nothing about that. And she just, like, wouldn't even accept the apology. And so Tara let her drop the clothes off, and I started going through them. Then the lady has the audacity to say, we'll go through it, and whatever you don't want, bring back to the boutique. Do you think that I have that kind of time? Because I know she saw the mountain. I had a mountain of trash bags
That's
next
just
to the
a
trailer.
self-important person.
It was so ugly. That was the only bad experience I had. And then I'm just like looking at, what are they gonna do with these heels and lingerie? And it was wild.
Yeah, it's lingerie.
I mean, we had a pair of tap shoes going here.
That's a strange thing.
I think here's the thing is, I also had it happen with feed. I had a feed store donate feed, and they did a lot of good feed, so thank you. And maybe they didn't realize it, but I got bags of equine horse feed that had bots in it, or like boll weevils or whatever, full of it. And I have horses, like I can't feed that to my horses.
Yeah.
That was frustrating. And it's not frustrating that they're giving me their drum, because she very well likely didn't know. I don't think she would have intentionally put that in there, the pallet. I guess the problem for me is, like, if you're gonna donate, and this goes out to like anybody out there, if you're gonna donate, like, remember, it's going to someone who doesn't have anything. Does not mean you're junk.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, or doesn't mean.
And the person you're taking it to
Because then I
can't
have to
necessarily be the
roll it.
person to check it.
Yeah.
Right. I
So
mean,
maybe
I'm
you
not
should
cutting open
check it
feed
before you
bags.
give it.
I'm not
Yeah.
cutting. And it's not until I start getting messages of like, hey, like, just so you know, this feed bag is full of bugs. Like, don't let anybody else take it. And sure enough, I went and cut open bags, and they were squirmy. Like, it was super
Oh my
nasty.
god.
So it was like maggots in there, and I just.
Oh.
But then I feel bad, because I've had
Right.
somebody drive for who knows how far to say, yeah, I have equine bags, like I'm setting them aside for you. But that's just, and then on top of that, like
And you delivered some not so good product.
my car does not like pulling a trailer regardless. Plus, with like 5,000 pounds in it, I'm not trying to add any additional weight. And that was the other thing with the clothes, was I just,
Did you see, like, in these places where, like, say it's almost like a tent community or whatever, do people somehow manage to have, like, a decent disposition? Are they, like, getting along and, like, somehow?
Yeah, it was really funny. When I was sitting there with Dara, she had her 2 neighbors, and she's lived there since 2010, and I think her neighbors were from before her. And she still managed to have, like, some cinder blocks and stepping stones that were, like, on her old patio. And while her and I were talking, like, her neighbor was stealing stepping stones or whatever to, like, hold down his fort that he had built. And he was like, I'm stealing cinder blocks from you. They were all getting along, and you could tell they had a fire pit out there, so they've probably been, getting together in the evenings and stuff. And nothing that I was warned about. I wasn't scared ever, going up to a home. I wasn't scared to ask anybody, hey, do you need anything? Like, the thing that mind boggles me is the amount of people that said, no, I don't need anything. Because
I've heard that.
There's a lot of people, even Dara was like, no, like, I'm good, I don't need anything. She ended up taking a tote finally. But my thought and my concern as, like, an outsider is, you think you're good now, right? You think you have enough supplies, you think you have enough clothes, but
you're going to be out here for a long time.
How long are you going to be out here? The donations are going to dwindle. And how long are those things going to really last you living out where you're living? For me, and it's not being greedy, if I'm here to bring it to you, I have excess of it, take it.
Yeah.
Take it, even if it's extra. Take it.
Pass
I've put them in these waterproof. I've
can.
put them in these heavy duty tubs so that you can stack stuff on it and get into it when you need to. Or even if you really truly don't need it, then just save me the job. And
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
hear within your
someone
community,
else.
hey, so and so needs it. There you go, pass it on.
That's how our pastor is here, and he's constantly like, seriously,
He's
take
forcing
what
us,
you
you
need.
know, like-
Yeah.
Like, no, you guys are struggling. You take what you need.
I
Like,
wish more people would take the donations, even if they didn't think they needed it,
yeah,
just in
because
case.
they will eventually.
Because that's my fear, is
somebody
it's gonna dwindle down. I think it already probably has a little bit,
Mhm.
and it's gonna get cold.
Yeah.
So
Oh, it got cold the last few nights.
It's already
like,
cold. Yeah.
I wasn't even ready for it,
Yeah.
and I'm not out in
I
the
know,
elements
we're
like
sitting
that.
there
They're in a
cold,
tent.
like, it hits you when at night time, when, like, you're sitting, and I don't think people realize, at all, like, just that feeling, like, you're sitting in your home at night, and it's, like, 67 degrees in your house, and you're like, wow, I'm cold, and, like, I need to wrap up in a blanket, and then, you just start, like, thinking of all of, like, the images that you've seen, the places that you've seen, the people that, I've talked to as we've been volunteering here that have come in to get stuff, and, like, all of that, and it's a heaviness, and I feel like, I can see it in you, I can see it in everybody here, even with the cheery dispositions. It's like you can tell, especially at the end of the day. It's not just tiredness. It's like this heavy, just soul crushing type of feeling, because you just. I keep telling people, if I'm not doing something to help, I feel helpless, because it's like it's just
that's
it's a
me
horrible
too.
feeling. Like, what do you
And a lot of these people, like, they worked their butt off their whole life to have what they had, and they lost their home, their cars, their career, possibly family members, everything, and now they're there having to, I don't know, get through the day somehow. It's almost like being sentenced to 20 years in prison or
because
life in
what
prison.
can you
It's
really
like,
accomplish?
right.
Like, what is during them, honest to God, able to accomplish with no machinery? No products to rebuild.
And why
no funds to
in the
rebuild.
hell is there not people going to get them and driving them out of there and going to house them in, like, a FEMA trailer?
There's communities coming together. I saw, like, the Swananoa groups and stuff,
like
where the people are.
It's just like, this is 21 days.
There's like a company, like you said, with a tiny home thing, and they're all kind of like chipping
that's
in.
awesome.
And they're taking in like foster families, almost Airbnbs. They're trying to use those.
Yeah, and see, we
What's
shouldn't have
What's
to be
crazy is,
doing
like,
that,
the
though.
first day of the complete and utter devastation. One of the first things I saw, I'm in these Airbnb groups because I sell furniture.
My vacation is canceled.
Oh no, worse. I saw somebody worried about how much money they were going to lose off of, like, their property because people were afraid to come to Western North Carolina. Meanwhile, they're seeing videos of people literally dying,
floating down the river. Yeah.
And they're like, should I drop the price down to like $140 a night or something just to entice people to come in? And I was like, are you really this bad in life at checking the temperature of the room? Like, how did you survive?
Right.
Like, what I'm saying? Like, it took some audacity. So I was like, there are some, I've seen so many great people here, but God, there's some bad people out there.
Yeah.
But they're usually not the ones that live in the community.
Yeah.
They're the ones that just, like, own a property or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you heard people's plans? Meaning, like, are they wanting to sell their land? Have they been approached to sell their land? Are they, like, wanting to get with people and have something built on the same land? Or
So I have heard of people thinking that the land is going to be condemned because they're so close to bedrock, and that they want to mine, and that's why they're condemning the land, like, instantly. So there was a house that, it's really odd. The house that Dara and them are in was not deemed condemned. It's deemed permitted for use, and it has a yellow tag on it. That house is full of black mold, has been abandoned for 20 years, and went through the hurricane. It is dilapidated, but it's not condemned. But the house next door is deemed condemned and has substantially less damage. That's weird. What are the check mark? What are the boxes that has to be checked off for it to be condemned?
Yeah. Really.
And she was right. She was like, look at that house. She's like, it's condemned, but the one that I'm living in, staying in, isn't. I know that the people in Old Fort, they're planning on they're doing as much cleaning as they can, but I don't like how we talked about earlier. I mean,
what can they really do?
What they're doing is probably not um right. You know what I mean? Like
maybe
how do
they're
I
just
mean it? Like not
passing time, something to hold on to, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's the only thing they have.
Yeah.
Because where else would they go though? Honest to God, where else would they go?
Yeah.
I think that I heard someone got approved for like $45,000 in housing costs, but she's like, "What am I gonna do with 45,000?" Like
Right.
honestly, she's like, "I don't have the credit to buy a house. Sure, that could be used as a down payment. I don't have the credit to buy a home. Um, that's not enough to even buy raw land,
Yeah.
much less build. Like, what is she gonna do with that? You know?"
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think the people whose homes are still there, they're salvaging them as best as they can, which is a huge huge hazard. You know, they're not. I mean, I hate to say it, they're not qualified to do it, but I get it because I would do the same thing. Like you have to fix it. You don't have the funds to fix it. What else are you gonna do?
Right.
You're gonna do it as good as you can,
Yeah.
and like have hope that as time gets on, you can continue to do improvements or whatever. But you have to live in that in the meantime. I mean, those people's homes in Old Fort, I mean, it was really bad.
The
And you
the
can
FEMA
smell it.
website says you can get that they give 40 up to $42,500 for the property, like if you lose your property, and then there's a 42,500 on top of that that's for like incidentals or like stuff you lost or whatever. Um, so up to 85 grand per property.
You can work with that a little bit.
But the first guy I heard it, and this was a house that we've passed a bunch of times, is worth a lot of money. Like it was like literally downtown in like the kind of expensive district. Yeah, they offered his daughter $2,600 for her house, and
That's where I
out
get
of 85
conspiracy
grand
theorists a little.
And did you get anything from people in Spruce Pine about the mine, about the courts?
Yeah.
Now the thing with that is though is that okay? So number one, probably almost anybody who's of working age and whatnot there is employed there, their family is or whatever, and they're concerned with getting that thing up and running again, and so is our economy because it's extremely important.
So when I was there, and I want to make sure I'm talking about the right mine, there's the one on Alta Pass. Is it that one?
I think so.
It's in the sharp curve, and there's a cemetery by it, and the river runs down beside it.
I think so. I think that's that quartz one I'm talking about. Yeah.
I think that's the only one that's there. I know that that's a quartz mine. Call me conspiracy theories, whatever. It's so wild that not a quarter mile before them was devastation, damage, really bad damage. And I don't know if they got damaged, but when I saw it, it looked good and was in operation. So that to me is weird. The thing of Kamala Harris's husband having shares in some of the mines was the one that they just closed on in Asheville. I just got the permits. Was really weird.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that they're condemning some
that's
properties.
Kings Mountain. That's a lithium. Yeah.
No lithium. Then the fact that some houses are being condemned right away, some are not. There's a lot of rumors that their properties are going to be condemned, which she's like, I mean, I could still build on this property, but they're going to condemn it because now they're saying that it's just, I don't know. I feel like if I lose my property, half of my property in the flood, I still own the half of the property.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Right. You can't condemn the land.
Right.
You can't tell me I don't own it anymore. I own half of that property.
Right.
I get if you say you can't build on it because it's not safe, but I still own it and you can't take it from me.
Yeah.
So
that's the weird part that I don't really wrap my head around. Because I could get if they zoned it for like non-residential, like recreational or whatever use only. But yeah, from what I'm hearing is most people, if they still have their home, they're trying to rebuild it. They're trying to fix it any way they can, make it livable again. As far as Dara, I think she's just like trying to figure out like what. It's literally just gone.
Yeah.
It's just gone, and she's left in a mud pit. And if you didn't see the picture she had sent me, I would have thought that, and that's no judgment, it was a bad side of town, ugly side of town, because there was a lot of trailer homes, like single wides and shit, like piled up on top of each other. No judgment. I've lived in a double wide long
Yeah,
time.
we're from
But
Detroit.
but
Our home
it
looks
didn't
like that all the
look
time.
how beautiful it was before. And she still had a little mobile home then, but it was so cute. And
Yeah.
her property was
She
beautiful.
took
It looked
care of
over the
it and
creek.
everything.
And so did the rest of the neighbors.
Mhm.
I just am mind boggled how they condemned the one and didn't condemn that one.
That is crazy.
They are.
It's another case where I feel like that I've said this about a lot of things and so have other people. When you have so many steps of ineptitude, so many steps of failure, it starts feeling like it's malicious. If an organization or a person makes,
A
you
couple
know,
mistakes, whatever.
yeah, but if you make 50 in a row that, like, I don't know, lead to a guy getting shot or something, it just probably, people just kind of look the other way. You can't make that many mistakes when you're trained to literally not make those mistakes. Like, that's all you do. Like, I have my own views on what happened here, but my whole thing is to just have people, I want to give people an idea of what the people are thinking.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what I think. Like, I'm talking about the people who own the land and stuff, and like what you're saying is interesting that, that they kind of have the vibe that something isn't right, and they also feel abandoned, like, which is obvious, but
I feel like if the land wasn't going to be used, if it was going to be used as residential land, fixed back to where it would be, to get these people back in their homes, then the government would really be here doing that.
Yeah.
But instead, they're working on roadways, and of course we need roadways, right?
Yeah.
But people also need homes.
yeah.
And you need a home to get around on the road,
While
And
they rebuild, like
so
something.
the lack of like helping people get back on their feet and helping the community makes me feel like, are they just trying to turn these into mines? Are they just trying to use this land for something else? Is there malicious intent behind it because of the lack of helping the people and helping the people get their homes back?
Right.
I feel like they're just giving people enough money just to get them off their back.
Yep.
Yeah, make it go
And
away, kind of.
Yeah, make the problem go away. And I think they also see all the other states pouring in to come help, and they're kind of like,
They got it.
they got it.
Yeah,
Which it
yeah.
shouldn't be, because they're sending all this freaking money to Ukraine. My husband's Mexican, and I love Mexicans, but to the illegal immigrants, like, this is wild, I just feel like, where are we at with our
The
people?
priorities
And
are
I
screwed
will
up.
get into politics. I wholeheartedly think that if Trump wins this, that's another thing, is I think a lot of this has to do with the election. How are your guys' votes going to be counted?
Yep.
Now they're gonna
We're
do
actually going to
paper.
be driving people, and so is a guy who's kind of known on YouTube for his devastate, like, chronicling everything that's happened to him, and he's in Green River Cove.
Yeah.
We're going to do our best to get people out there to vote, regardless of who they're voting for. I will say this, that you're right, because well, as far as how it'll affect the vote, because when you see the numbers at the end of the day, they got to know that there's thousands of people that there's no way in hell that they would vote the other way at this point, but they're not going to get the vote. There are things, there are locations the vote changed by like 20 miles, and like you said, they don't have cars.
Right, they don't have cars. Is the mail system really legit?
Yeah.
Or whatever. And on top of that, like, let's carpool people up there. How many people are not going to do that?
Right.
A lot. No matter
it's not
how
necessarily
nice
the first thing they're thinking about.
Right. No matter how nice the gesture, there's a lot of people that are, not going to take it up. And then they have bigger fish to fry too. Their home is gone.
Right.
That's probably the last thing.
Right.
Even though it would really help their situation. So I think that's
a very scary thought. And
it is.
It terrifies me.
I do think, wasn't Trump and was Trump and Elon Musk here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Elon, that was one of the main complaints about FEMA, was that, or actually just about the administration too. And Benny Johnson had this experience everything where they put a 30-mile no-fly radius around Asheville.
Yeah.
So when they were trying to bring the Starlinks in, they couldn't. And then when I guess they were able to go somewhere outside of that radius to deliver them, they weren't allowed to, because by quote-unquote FAA rules, you have to have a name of a recipient.
Yeah,
but it's like, dude, we're taking these for people that, like, who
number.
knows who they are, where they are, they're up on a mountain somewhere.
Just finding them.
Yeah, we're giving them away. Like, we don't know who
Just
they're
like
going
you
to.
would drop a box of food.
We'll find out who they are once they can get online.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't take them. So, and I've heard of confiscation stuff, but I have heard of, like, some of the guys that are, like, the most in depth about what's really going on, and they do have their theories and experience on there is some dark stuff behind this. Even they say that there hasn't been this big thing where FEMA's taken supplies, except it was to like, just a crappy version of trying to distribute it. They said more or less that they weren't here. Like what you're saying and what I'm saying.
I haven't seen the confiscation of it.
Yeah.
And I was like warned before I came, like, say it as gifts or whatever.
Wow.
Someone was like, say they can't search your trailer. I was like, I signed a parole thing. They can search me if they want,
Yeah.
So, but I was really worried about that. But I didn't say any confiscation like that. I think that,
were you ever told you couldn't go into certain places?
Yes.
Oh, you were?
Yeah, so you can't go into Chimney Rock.
Yeah,
I've heard
we
Lake
went
Lure you
there.
can't get into, but I'm not sure.
We went.
We've been to
did-
Lake Lure, but it stops at Chimney Rock. Like,
Yeah.
you can't enter Chimney Rock.
Yeah. And then there was one the other day, the sign said locals only, but I didn't get stopped. And then I did get stopped by Highway Patrol just north of here, like when you're going up to go into Spruce Pine. What is this, 91, 81? The super curvy road.
Maybe she's talking about 80 that we were on yesterday. That turns
that
into the
one?
parkway up by Lake Tahoma.
Way up there. Like, you kind of go by Little Switzerland, but you're not in Little Switzerland, but it's like over there.
Oh, she's talking about,
I'm talking about straight
we've only
north.
been here like 2 years, like, or not even 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah, 2 years. 221?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 221 and then on to 226.
Right.
So,
Okay, I know what you're
right there
talking
at that intersection, state troopers did stop us, and they just asked like where we were going, what we were doing, and then that was it. And they were like, "Be safe."
They let you go?
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't let you in Chimney Rock to take donations. Why?
They said locals only, and because of all the construction. And then they also were saying like nobody's there. I don't really buy that. I have seen some videos on TikTok of like a guy that was like let in by a local, and he was like, well, I see why they're not letting people in because like there's so much machinery around. But I don't know. I feel like unless they have organized people going in and bringing stuff, then I don't know. I don't know the full story, and I just know that we weren't allowed in.
That's one of the there was that sheriff who has a video that you have to. Did you see it?
I think I know where he like spits.
Yeah. That guy
I
there.
love that.
So that guy makes me feel like, if it was needed or if there was any people left there, that they would absolutely take the donations. But I don't think there are other than people that are working.
Right.
That's kind of what I got from it, because the distribution centers near there that we drop stuff, they were taking stuff everywhere but Chimney Rock, even though Chimney Rock was right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
So
maybe there's just nobody there. I don't know.
I don't think there is. And I mean, I'm not saying it's a small amount of people, like, in terms of, like, loss of human lives, but I'm saying that, like, I don't remember. I jotted down when we were going to do our first video about the smaller towns because they weren't getting mentioned.
Yeah.
There's only a few hundred people in Chimney Rock, and Lake Lure is like, I don't know, 1,000. So, or vice versa. So, in other words, it's not a whole lot of people to be gone when you're hearing that like 700 people were in Lake Lure.
So
Which I have no idea if that's true. That's just the thing you hear.
Yeah. So from Texas standpoint, I didn't hear about Swanona. I did not hear about Old Fort. I didn't hear about Spruce Pine. I didn't hear about any. All I heard was Chimney Rock, Chimney Rock, Chimney Rock.
Really?
Yeah.
So when we were coming out, we were like, we're going to Chimney Rock. Well, like Chimney Rock's pretty far south of here.
Yeah.
You know,
It's good.
and like Swanona,
35
I mean,
minutes.
they're pretty far. You know, so it's wild. We thought the devastation was like just in that one area, and then I heard of Bat Cave, Plumtree. We were originally going to go to Plumtree. And it's just wild how we've like ended up like everywhere we thought we wouldn't. But I didn't hear about Old Fort or Swanona till today or till last night. And TikTok, scrolling through TikTok, you know.
Wow.
I had
that's
heard
insane.
around here. I kept hearing, is it Buck Creek?
Buck Creek.
Buck
Yeah.
Creek, that's where we were last
Yes,
night.
there,
Don't go
yeah.
there.
Is it bad?
There's nothing.
There's no one.
There's nobody. Yeah.
That's
Was
the
it, like,
place that
washed
I'm
out?
saying is eerie. I don't know any
Where
other way to
is
say
Buck
it
Creek?
except for the fact that I think everyone's
That way.
deceased lives there.
Really?
Because, okay, obviously there's a lot of homes that are washed away. There's trees through them. There's cars and trees. I got some
Uh-huh.
pictures I can show you and stuff. But the homes that are, well, at least from the outside, livable,
Oh, yeah.
there's lights on, but nobody's home, literally.
Right.
And there's
Okay.
no big town meeting that they're at. There is no, you know what I mean? There's just no one there.
Yeah.
So there's like random, it's a strange vibe. There's random supplies dropped on certain corners that nobody's touched.
Yeah.
There's no
I've seen
cars,
a
no
lot of
people,
that.
nothing. I can understand if like people obviously went somewhere that's more livable and stuff, but like all of them,
Yeah.
every single one of them, and mind you, some of these homes up in the hollers and stuff are fine.
What would
There's
like
nobody
how
around.
were you able to get into Buck Creek on the road?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Really?
There's
See,
some,
they all show.
yeah, just be careful.
Oh, that's some like super curvy roads right there.
Yeah,
it's
and
in
there's
very
some-
narrow. I'm not sure. There's one spot that we got to that I'm not sure your big truck could go through.
Yeah.
I got a picture of it that I can show you, and you'd
It's
probably be like, nah.
scary.
It's
Yeah.
a bad idea. And well, I mean, you could obviously use like the side by sides and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Like we were trying to find every time we've gone out people that are like in the outer reaches
Right.
that need stuff,
Right.
and it's real eerie to go to these places, and there's not even anybody there holding on to their property, even if it was like a business,
Mm-hmm.
like an RV park or a trout farm or something, where there's like a livable or at least serviceable place to whatever to even be at. There's no one. Like there's a forestry guy driving through that's like, you basically have somebody tailing you when you go through there. Each time it was weird, and they would turn off and go somewhere that made no sense. Like there's nothing going on there, there's nothing getting fixed there. They just followed us. So they were fixing a bridge. Okay, that's fine. There's cops there, but they wouldn't even look up from the phone for me to ask them if there's a distribution center. So I'm like, okay, well that's cool. I didn't want people to be mad at me. You know what I'm saying? For being there in the first place, I was going to explain myself, but I couldn't even get their attention. But then, like I said, there is no one,
Yeah.
no people,
I didn't see a single person.
and you know, yes, obviously some of it is devastated. The structures aren't livable. There's no more river.
Well, there really aren't any structures.
Like going up that winding road that you're talking about that turns into 80. And you've probably seen the picture of the church on the side of the road.
Is that the one that's just like the one
Barely
pillar is holding
standing.
on it? Yeah.
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 Yeah, that's where we were. That's where you're talking about. And when you go through there, normally there's a very, very wide river on the side of you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when it rains really hard, it's like you're watching it, it's rushing, but it's far down. But I'm just saying, like, that's, I've been caught in a rainstorm there, and it's intimidating, it's rushing.
Yeah.
It's a desert now.
Yeah.
If I show you pictures of it, there's no more water in it, and it's cracked, like it's like like broken glass.
And the
Yeah.
trees and like the cars that are flipped over that are under the trees, there's multiple cars that are like flipped over that are stuck just in like all these branches, and like they're all wrapped around them, and they're just crushed up in these trees, and there's just like piles of stuff like that just like all over, and there's no way. I just don't believe with any fiber of my being that there are not bodies under there.
Yeah.
Like, there's got to be at least a few, because I mean, how in the heck would you get to them?
Right.
I think
And the
that
fun
there's
part is like, how many are we actually gonna find? They're
Yeah,
already
there's-
bulldozing this shit. They're already just
Mhm.
rolling
And now
around those
it's
creek beds.
freezing.
Have they ran cadaver dogs through those creek beds? I don't think so.
Yeah.
So you've seen them basically, quote unquote, fixing the area, like just flattening things and yeah.
Yeah, like going up. When we came through. Okay, so we came from Asheville. So don't get me messed up, but we came through Burnsville.
Mhm.
I know we came through going to Spruce Pine. We came through Burnsville, and like even through there, like the creek beds and stuff. I mean, yeah, they had track hose and stuff in there, digging up, trying to redirect the river. Same thing at Spruce Pine, but it's like, have you guys thoroughly searched that area? Have you
Yeah,
really?
the mud
You know what I'm
banks
saying?
and stuff.
Who knows? Like what is getting buried under there? And I don't know. You don't see any. Here's the other thing. You see so much scrap metal and stuff in these creek beds, but when they're digging and they're moving, you don't see a pile of it. So are they just burying over it?
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
yeah.
You don't even where I was at in Old Fort today. If you guys are familiar with Old Fort, I was where the 2 cabins are
Yeah.
right there, and they were like in that creek, and there's trash all over there. I didn't see where they had a trash pile of like where they've been working at so far, clearing the debris out before they're fixing stuff. So I'm wondering, are they just
covering it up. And I mean, to
No.
some degree, it's like if you don't send enough staff or whatever you want to call it, enough labor out there, that's how they're going to have to do it.
Did you see the guy? Somebody made a video the other day. Clearly Hispanic guy working on one of the roads. He was at, where was she by? I want to say she was by Bakersville. Maybe, I don't know. It was a Hispanic guy with a branch that had leaves on it and he was sweeping the road.
No.
And they were like, there's where our tax dollars are going.
Oh,
Oh
wow.
my God.
You know, and I was, but here's the thing. Being a trucking company, I have linemen that work for me. And they're called, what's the name? I don't know. They go out on tramps.
Mhm.
Tramps. That's what they call themselves. They're union. And all they do is they go tramping. They go to every storm call.
Mhm.
And they bank off the storms. We didn't bank off the storm. We typically bank off storms because we're hauling in generators, we're hauling in
Right.
equipment. And
Right.
they pay a lot of money. I mean, we made $15,000 from Oklahoma to Florida for Ian on one run. We would have normally made like $2,500. So people bank off this. So I also know that these companies are coming in here. I heard that the IV bag plant here in Marion,
Pastor, yeah.
like $300 million in labor and all the repairs is what I've heard from someone who works there. These people are going to get rich off the cleanup. And are they
Yeah.
really going to do, I don't know.
Right, a real job.
Yeah.
Right. No, I totally get it. Like it's the rebuild is going to be
Oh,
insane.
We're living in the
Well, the
after.
rebuild is the build, meaning how long did it take for you to build that entire region up? Well, basically, it all needs to be built again
Right.
Yeah.
because it's going to be new places. Because obviously, some of this is broken to the point
Yeah, there's
where
places that can never be fixed and never be replaced ever, like Lake Laurel, Chimney Rock. Those places can never be fixed. Swannanoa is never gonna be.
I think that Swannanoa, everything that is on, so there's old 70 and there's the new 70 where all the stores and stuff are. I think everything that's on Creek Bank side is over with. It's gonna have to
Yeah,
be taken out
for
because
sure.
half of it is like dangling off in the creek. The whole back's blown out, you know. So that's all those businesses gone, you know. And there's no room to probably
Yeah,
build
what
on
are you
that
gonna
site
do?
again unless, you know, it's wild.
Did you see any of the like helicopter stuff? We've
Yes.
seen them out there. Like, what were
I
they
have
doing?
seen a couple. So I've seen a couple helicopters. Dara told me today, she said, "You see that helicopter?" She's like, "They just circle over here." And she's like, "You can't tell me that they're not looking for dead bodies."
Yeah.
You know.
That's what
Or
they're.
more wreckage. Because what else? She's like, "What else are they doing?" She's like, "They're not dropping anything. They're not moving anything." She's like, "They're just circling." She's like, "Unless like our town's under surveillance, they're literally just circling." And she's like, "It's them looking for dead bodies. It has to be."
Now, see, I've heard that that's what they're supposed to be doing, but that they're sniffing around the creek beds for like
Other things.
other things,
Yeah.
What other thing?
like what you're talking about, like figuring out what's where as far as the geology of the area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, either
It
way,
could be both.
or they could just honestly be doing nothing. That's the
Yeah.
thing that
Just
people forget.
Putting their
Like,
presence here.
yeah, in other words, it's like they got sent here. The locals did the work, and the Cajun Navy came in and did the
But
work,
they're
and
on
it's like
contract here. So
right,
they gotta
exactly,
do
and
something
it's
with
like
their time.
I haven't seen them. I don't know who you've seen doing like the move, like you said you saw the army guys filling a hole, whatever. But I've seen people out there working like rebuilding stuff, or at least like cleaning stuff up, cutting trees, pulling people out of houses, rescuing people. Whether it's the construction or the rescue stuff, it has not been.
People with uniforms.
No, it's been like it's been like locals, it's been like Cajun Navy, it's been some other Christian organization,
Yeah.
like so that's all I've seen. Like,
I
and
just haven't seen
honestly,
them doing much productive
some
stuff.
people said, like that sheriff we were talking about, he said, FEMA, stay out, we got this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm not complaining that, I mean, in all honesty, I think as good of a job that could be done with the rescue and with a lot of the clearing of the roads, everything, it got done as good as it could get done.
Yeah.
Like I told her, she didn't get to see it, but the day after, like I was talking about, I made that drive to go try to get us food and went through Morganton and saw stuff under 6 feet of water and made my way to Hickory. On the way there, there were gigantic trees like every 50 yards. You know, of course, there's traffic going both ways. People are panicking. They don't know what to do. They can't find a store open. There's no communication. So you're almost running nose to nose into each other.
There was
So
a lot of deaths I saw related to trees down
Oh,
there.
really?
There's a Google Doc that has the missing persons and
Oh,
the
I've seen that
deceased,
before.
and a lot of the deceased were listed with collisions with trees.
Yeah, and see, like, I'm surprised that more cars didn't hit each other.
Yeah.
You know, and so I'm doing this game where it's like, I'm practically like scared for my life driving all the way there. On the way back, no trees.
Yeah.
Because local dudes just came out
Driving
with
around.
chainsaws and chopped all this. I'm like, how did they do that fast? It's only been a few hours. Like,
Yeah.
it's because everybody got out there. So
Yeah.
I've been really impressed with that. It's
They
like,
jumped into action immediately.
it's like I wonder if like the experience you had with the people up there at Spruce Pine, if it had something to do with that company, if maybe I don't know, like they maybe had more assets. They're afraid of stuff getting taken, like that sort of thing.
Or they could just be
'Cause you're not-
shady. Some people were just
It
shady.
could have just been
They
the
were
people.
just
Yeah. I just
how
keep getting hung up on that because it's like I keep talking about how great everybody's been to each other, and it's like there's this one place where I've heard several things,
yeah.
and that was the first place I wanted to go help because like
Yeah.
there's so many hardworking people up there, and you know I've always heard great things.
Yeah.
And everything, and Oliver Anthony used to live there.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He lived up there. He went to school there. One of the two. I can't remember which.
Trump voter, Oliver Anthony, damn it.
Yeah. And so like I don't know, like it's surprising to me, but like you know, when people have to take control of a situation, sometimes the weaker people let the wrong people take control.
Did Oliver Anthony do like a donation? I'm sure he did. Eric Church is from right over here.
Yeah.
He's from Granite Falls.
Yeah,
That's
he
like
gave
right
like
here.
his money from that one
That
song.
song he dedicated.
Yeah,
Darkest
Dolly
Hour
Parton
or
gave a ton of
something.
money.
She
And
did too.
did you go to Tennessee at all or no?
So, funny story, my mom just moved to Knoxville from California. Like, my
Oh.
whole family just made the move.
Oh,
So,
wow.
that's where I'm heading, after we leave. So, no, I haven't driven through there.
Okay, I was just curious because that was the first place hit, but
Mhm.
obviously it was a smaller piece and it all
Right.
came here.
Backlog down here.
So the main need you see now is just honestly rebuilding. Like there's
Rebuilding, sources of heat, sources of fuel. I mean, because fuel gets expensive, obviously. Cold weather gear, I think. I think the food, the formula, the diapers, the clothing, for the most part, unless it's very specific clothing. If you got a jacket for everybody, but then it's like, okay, these people like out there, like they need a Carhartt or a Walls.
Yeah,
Like they don't
it's
need.
really about warmth.
They don't need your cute puffer jacket. Like,
Right.
so I think kind of my plan, and I feel like the first time I did the donations, I felt, well, these are donations, I can't tell them, but at the same time, I also had to, somebody do a large cash donation. I think if I just put a very specific list out,
I've seen that, yeah.
That's what
this
we're
time
gonna
around,
do.
I think we brought up like the necessities, and now it's like, okay, there's a different need. So I wanted to see what your guys' thoughts were on like looting. Did you guys see a lot of that?
None.
The example I've heard, of
stealing.
course I haven't seen it, but I've heard that what was referred to as looting was more like people taking more than their fair share of donations.
We had that
Like
a
I haven't heard of
couple
actual
times
looting. There's not
here.
much to loot. Like there's,
Right.
like when they said there was like looting in Old Fort, you saw downtown
Yeah,
Old Fort.
like where?
None of them shops have anything in them. No more.
Yeah.
So I heard in Old Fort, people were, and this is what that lady was telling me. She was like, people were coming and digging through people's stuff. She's like, I don't even know why. She's like, it's all wet. She's like, we've had people come back here and they're trying to get into these old mobile homes and they're not the people that owned them or rented them. And she's like, I don't know why. She's like, it's all wet. And then I've heard of people's generators getting taken at night.
Now that stuff, I'm sure
That I could
probably
see.
happens.
Some desperation is going to cause it.
I'm
But
sure
people have
would do
shared
that for
so
sure.
much here and
Right.
everything, and they're willing to just give you stuff. It's crazy that people would do
Right.
that. I wonder, was it people coming from other towns? And also, we had, well, it's kind of eerie. We had a very large homeless population here.
Yeah.
We don't see them no more. Now, it could be that they actually went to somewhere like Old Fort to kind of take advantage of the situation, or
I did see a couple homeless people in Old Fort today.
oh yeah, but yeah, we had a bunch here right by the water where we were evacuated from, and I don't know if I know you've seen the homes, the roads and stuff, but down here, which you wouldn't think is that bad, like where Pastor Jeff talked about, like behind Big Lots and stuff. Now we haven't got to the worst of that, but right at the end of our road, the path, the concrete or the asphalt path, we put a video on YouTube that shows that the entire path is like this.
Wow.
It's like complete just bumps and giant pieces of it through it.
The woods.
And that's right
Like,
here in
the
quote unquote
water did
civilization.
Yeah.
Like the power
I
that
could
came
walk
through
there.
right there.
Yeah.
You know?
Through probably, I don't know, like 2-ton, 3-ton chunks of asphalt, like, I don't know, 50 yards.
Yeah.
Diverted an entire stream, and that's like right here by our house, right down the road.
Yeah.
So it's like that is something that you have to like really get up close to see, but it's just scary, and I found myself just like intimidated by nature at this point after seeing that. Now that's not something that normally happens in nature, that kind of force, but just the fact that our little, you can't even call it a river, our stream here, I'll call it, at the Greenway, had that kind of power to just throw concrete around the city,
Yeah.
you know, and make it where it looks like it has waves in it permanently. It's insane. Like I'd imagine, like you've seen, like us, the majority of damage has been from trees. The down power lines obviously make life hell for
And then
people.
the floodwaters receding now.
Yeah, and the mold, and things
You can
just
smell it. Like in places like Old Fort and Swananoa, you can literally smell it in the air.
yeah, we couldn't put our finger on what it was. Like we smelled the death thing.
I kept telling
by
people, like,
Lake
this
Lore.
is a strange smell.
But then there was
Can't
something weird,
explain it to
yeah.
And the
you,
death
but
thing
We
has
have
to,
it
it
right down
has
the
to
road
be,
here.
the death smell has to be dying down, not because the bodies aren't there anymore, but because
It's
They're
getting
buried.
cold, too.
not only that, but they smell really bad at the beginning.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Right,
saying? And then it,
Yeah.
so that's got to be going away. One of my biggest things that was a little bit frustrating for me as someone who was here, like wanted to have boots on the ground, was I heard all these horror stories from so many people. People here, people at Spruce Pine, people on social media. I know people that are in tents. I know people that they're trapped in their home. I know, and I'm like, tell me where, and I will be there. Tell me where.
Right?
And they're like, I don't. Well, it's like, well, how do you know? Like, who told you? Who told you? And I'll go talk to them. You know. And it's like you cannot get a straight story. So as someone who's volunteering, here's the thing, as far as like someone who's on the outside, because you know you keep hearing FEMA has made announcements of like addressing this rumor, addressing that rumor, but low key I can kind of sympathize with that part, because it's like, all right, like where are they?
Yeah.
Because maybe it's old news, maybe it's not, but some of the people I'm talking to are like trusted sources, like no, it's right now, and it's, I don't know. Like, is it a secret? Is it what? Like, I don't even have to meet them. Tell me, I'll drop it where they're at. I don't know if it's chalking up to me maybe not saying that it could be any worse than it is, right?
Yeah.
But
There's at the beginning, there was a thing called Operation Airdrop that was the 50 pilots that came together. They're you know, they weren't they're, what do you call it?
Were you guys saying that?
Private owners. And they went out on multiple missions a day.
Yeah.
And they
Were you guys seeing
rescued.
them?
We didn't get to
We
see them.
saw videos of them, but I didn't see them.
Yeah.
Well, I saw helicopters. It could have been
And I
them,
had to bet.
but I can't say for sure it was
Yeah,
them.
right.
But
Probably
that's,
was.
actually, now that I think about it, yeah, it was, because it wasn't
here yet.
military.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, it probably was them. But yeah, they performed rescues for X amount of time, and then it was kind of, I guess you could say, announced that they were more in what you call it, recovery, like bodies and
No
stuff like
longer,
that,
yeah.
because they had, it seems like they ran out of missing reports or whatever. You know, they checked everywhere. There was that one story that I saw the video where they were shining a mirror, you know, on top of a mountain. Because some of these people, I showed her yesterday in the map. I was like, what is this? We were over by Tom's Creek up here, where Vivian lives. And right before you get to Tom's Creek, like the actual public thing where you go to waterfalls, there's a road. And I guess you could call what this leads to a holler, because it literally goes for like 50, 60, 70 miles, weaving in and out all the way up the mountain. It doesn't even have a name. and you think it's like I don't know, a forestry road or something like
Uh-huh.
that, but there's like mailboxes and stuff.
Wow.
Like it goes all the way up the mountain there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like those are probably the places that people were getting rescued from that you get mixed information about because nobody can even describe where it is.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, and such holler and whichever town, and it's
Right.
not even in a town.
Social media really
Now the guys in the
muddles
helicopter, they
things
have
up
coordinates.
too.
They have like
Yeah.
they look at it a whole different way. And social media does. They just want eyeballs to be on the situation.
Mm-hmm.
And some
And
people
chances are some of them were people trapped, but
Yeah.
after so long, either it was so dangerous to get to them, or they just got missed because there was only so many people doing these missions, and there were so many people to save. I mean, Jesus, your parents are in a pretty like populated compared to these other places.
Yeah.
They're on like a major like road and everything. They're not on a dirt road.
But yeah, I
And-
mean, there's a lot of people that are
Right, and they have like a I don't know. It's a steep pitch going up their driveway, but I don't know. It's maybe a few hundred feet or something like that. They a couple more trees falling.
Oh, they would have been dead.
Yeah, not just dead, but I mean like totally trapped.
Yeah.
To where, you know, they had to
get out
take a
of
couple
their room.
trips with chainsaws to get them out, and people knew where they were because they're on kind of a main road. But if they
So
would have been
that's
on
what
one of
I'm
these
saying.
hollers or something, there's no way in hell anybody would ever got them
Right.
out of there.
Yeah,
No
I saw
way.
one where there was like a bunch of trees down. The only way they could even tell that it was a driveway anywhere was just because they could barely see a mailbox like sticking up between some
Right.
trees.
Yeah.
And I think those people had been airlifted out, but it was just wild. I think that I'm so glad we came up here, and I'm planning another trip already.
Yeah.
You know?
It's awesome.
I wish I would have came in sooner, but I
Yeah.
think it was like before we didn't really even have this idea. You're across the country and you're just praying for them, and then okay, now we have like round 2 coming. Milton's okay. Like now this is Florida just got hit with Helene too.
Right,
Now
this
they're gonna.
ain't stopping.
So that's really what it like jumped it in, but. Now I kind of wish I would have jumped in sooner. And I think that between me, Tammy, and Tara, this is something that we want to do like in the future. Another hurricane hits. Like my husband and I have kind of been involved with them since Ian anyways,
Right.
but just never on the volunteer side. And I really loved it. I kept laughing because, hey, you can cut this out of the video if you want. I recently started an antidepressant and it made me like so non-emotional. I'm normally a crier. Like I
I've
will
been through
cry
that.
in certain situations.
Yeah, no,
And
I
I just started this antidepressant. I've never taken a fucking psych drug ever. I can't fucking cry. Like I've cried. Dara
Welcome to
made me
my
cry.
world.
Dara made me cry today, but I'm like really trying to express my sympathy and like sorrow for these people, and not a fucking tears coming out.
Yeah.
It's made me better off.
So,
It's made me
but
better
it was
off.
funny. It was really funny. But Dara brought it out whenever I saw like her decorating that place again.
It sounds like
it
she
was just
really
like
hit you, yeah.
Dara really
Yeah,
hit
it's
me,
me,
and I've
and
met
not
a
even
lot of
seeing
people,
it.
and
Ugh.
Dara just really. She said she was good on supplies. I messaged her. I was like, "What is an address that I can send you stuff?" And I don't even want to necessarily send her supplies. I want to send her cute little yard ornaments.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I know that would bring her joy.
Yeah,
Because,
that'll make her cry right there.
Right.
I think little acts like that are what's needed to just get people through stuff because it's almost impossible to like rebuild somebody's entire existence that they've
And
built.
without the people here at this church, we wouldn't be getting to.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be getting to.
And did you like basically what you saw? Did most people like lose their cars?
Yeah, like majority of the
'Cause it
yeah,
just
I
seemed
want to
like people
say
are stuck milling around in Old Fort.
No,
like,
yeah.
just walking around.
so like Old Fort and Swanana, if they were anywhere near that river, yeah, their cars are gone. And you can tell the cars that are it was weird. So Old Fort didn't have the cars that were spray painted and window busted out. Swanana did.
Swananoa.
Okay, have I been saying it wrong the whole time?
A couple
Sometimes.
times.
Okay.
People
Swananoa
know what you're talking
We're
did.
about.
new here, so
Swananoa did. So it was weird. Like Old Fort, you could tell like they were like super muddy or like obviously waters have been over them. And you would see like a car. We saw an Altima like ass up on a telephone pole at the gas station. It's been there since this happened. We saw a minivan, and then Swananoa. There was be cars that were parked in front of people's homes, and they'd have the same spray paint that a house had on it, and the windows busted out for the people to look inside to make sure nobody was in.
yeah.
We even saw like an old like late 60s, early 70s Corvette Stingray. Like,
Really?
slick ass car turned over and like
And
right
see,
off the
somebody put their
road.
whole life in that car, probably.
Yeah,
That's the
that
kind of
sucks.
stuff where it's like it's not just material possessions, but that was like some dude's dream, and he built
Yeah.
it from the ground up, and that just killed. Or if they lost their business, I've seen
Right.
that a lot.
There was a gigantic propane tank, huge, like the kind that goes on a tanker next to somebody's house that had washed through the creek.
Just floated.
That's scary.
It
You know,
is.
that's
No, I
really
saw
scary.
those floating in the water, and I was just like, that can't be
Yeah.
good.
Okay,
You know?
we gotta wrap this up. It is super late.
Okay.
My
Well, I
cousin
gotta
needs
work
to
tomorrow,
go to
unfortunately.
school in
Yeah.
I
the
wish that
morning.
I could actually be out there. Like every day, I feel guilty. I talk to my customers about it, and they can just tell that I'd rather be out there
Elsewhere.
helping people.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I'm the type that would actually like to go out there and cut people out and carry
Yeah.
people out and stuff like that. I guess that there's not much of that left to be done. And I mean, my job and my role is to go to work and provide, but I really give it up to anybody who's out there doing like what you're doing.
Yeah.
I give it up to the people, like I've seen the people that are out there doing the body recovery and stuff because I feel like that changes you. And to be able to give somebody closure like that, that's great.
I've heard
You know?
some really, really, really sad stories. Super sad, and then you don't hear about them in the news.
No.
And it's like a very traumatic death, you know, with their children and their arms buried in the mud, or
Mhm.
you know, and it's like, why aren't we hearing about it?
That's the reason why I think I get hung up on the death and the number of deaths and stuff like that is because even where we're from, that was the murder capital. Just about every murder made the news for a couple seconds.
Just
You
for
know
a
what I'm
couple
saying?
seconds.
Yeah.
And I have a kind of dark theory about why you don't see a lot of it online. People saying like, you know, my wife was taken in the flood, my kids, my nephews, stuff like that. It's because they're all gone. There's nobody to say it.
Mhm.
And the ones that there are to say it, it's from a distance or
relative,
yeah, and that's what it is. A lot of people live in the same community. There's that dude Cody that was on the Peak Prosperity podcast. He told his entire story, and he was in Fairview, which is like basically it's west of Old Fort, kind of like between there and Swannanoa actually. And on his side of the street, there was 18 total people. He saved one, but he couldn't save the rest. So like there was 17 people that died or whatever.
Mhm.
But then the other side by the fire department, if you look on the Google map, you see that there's like 3 times as many homes, and it was very clear from him and I guess the fire department that all those people perished. And it's like it bothers me, like what you're saying, that we're not hearing like, you know, my
Right.
uncle so and so is this beautiful person and blah blah blah. And you know, there's 13,000 missing, or there was a Facebook group that for missing people in the area had 13,000 members, and you could just scroll. And I want to guess that the amount of people missing at that time was higher than the 13,000 members of the group. And it just feels like you said, nobody's like reporting on that. Like I would hope that, you know, and I usually say I don't care what nobody says or does about my death. Like I don't even know if I want to be buried, cremated, what. But like I would hope somebody say
They're just
something.
not getting the justice, yeah.
Yeah, like somebody say something, tag my Facebook page, say you miss me or something. It's like I know that we're gonna find out that a lot more people are gone, and I just don't understand why we're not seeing it.
Why is it taking so long?
Yeah.
Why is it such a secret?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Why are we all such a secret here? Why is this such a all these towns that are just forgotten? Like I know that that's what they're thinking.
It like really.
Why are we abandoned?
It hurt. It made me feel some type of way driving between Swannanoa back to Old Fort, and I stopped in Black Mountain.
Yeah.
Well, no, you passed through Black Mountain.
Yeah.
Black Mountain seemed where I drove through downtown was fine. There was people holding shopping bags, going to store, like looking like they were on vacation, and just 10 miles this way and 10 miles this way is like complete devastation.
Right.
It literally made me feel freaking sick.
Yeah.
Montreat College. You guys hear of Montreat? That's right, just this way of Black Mountain. It's a little tiny place.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Almost
cool.
all the it's completely gone. It's a Christian college that has a known author as one of its professors, who actually wrote about almost this exact same thing happening 20 years ago in a book. It's an interesting book. But either way, it was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen for college. It was all that old, that architecture like you see in like Boston, like the early architecture. The entire town was that college and was that architecture. And we were there a couple days before it got just wiped out.
Yeah.
And it's like that entire town, all you see is, because they have this big one of the many trails here that connects to the bigger trails. Every step of the way are these blocks that have people's names that have lived in Montreat or their family has since like, I don't know, like 400 years ago or something crazy like that.
Yeah.
So the entire town was built and maintained by people from the town. It was all their ancestors and everything who were originally from there. And I like marveled at that when we were there, and it's all gone. And it's stuff like that beyond the deaths and stuff like that, it's kind of like, this was a place that had at least a couple hundred years of history of the same bloodlines in it, and all the work of building it all, and all the students, and all the degrees that they gained, and everything like that. And they had these huge religious conferences there, just gone.
Yeah.
Just like that. Just like what people say about Chimney Rock, they're attached to that place. There's places that her and I love, and we've only been here a couple of years, and we will just never see them again. And a lot of that stuff was where people proposed to get married. Like, that's what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's just not there no more. And it's like, I hope to see it rebuilt. Like you said, it's going to be like a long road.
We're living in the after. There's a before and after now forever for Western North Carolina. And before Helene and after Helene. We're now living in the after, and that will be the rest of moving forward.
I think we're still in the during.
Yeah.
I know, well, you know what I mean. Before the hurricane hit and after.
I think according to other people, we're in the after.
You know exactly what
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. I totally get what you're saying.
God, you ruined the whole sentiment of it.
No, I totally get what you're saying.
I could choke him sometimes. Anyway.
I get what you're saying. I was just hung up on a kid I saw from Boone today.
It is late, though, at night, and we have another child that we have to attend to besides the one that's outside making all the noise.
He's fine. He's gaming.
No, he's not fine. He needs to go to school in the morning. So.
And just so people know, real quick before we go, the reason you may be finally getting inundated with people like me sharing video after video and picture after picture is because even here where I live in what you would consider civilization, it was 2 weeks before I could share those videos.
Yeah.
Like, most people are only a few days in these really devastated communities, being able to share it, being able to vent about their situation.
Their experience.
And you need to give them a chance to do that. I know it seems like old news, but they are just now in the news in their own way, creating their own news.
Yeah.
So that's why I want to get out there and like talk to people and just let them vent, because I feel like if they don't, I think it's bad for them if they don't. So,
It is.
at least some of them.
And I just, I mean, in like a closing thought, at least on my part, I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart for coming here.
Yeah, of course.
Absolutely, me too.
It is a huge trek. I mean, and just the whole, how it came together and just all of it. I mean, and everything that you've taken on along the way, and you're getting stuck, and then just all of this stuff. I mean, and you still kept at it, like, I'm here to do this, and I'm going to do this. I mean, that is how a lot of, people are surviving, is because of people like you. So thank you.
Of course.
And people can say what they want these days about like people who have like religious faith and stuff like that, but the vast majority of people I saw coming to help had like a cross on their trailer or on their truck, or I'm hearing them say things like "God bless you," or I'm seeing them pray over people, and I'm like, it means something.
Yeah,
people who
like,
believe,
hey, stay here,
Yeah, like he would take in 100 people if they were like stuck here,
yeah.
So that's a, if it helps people this much, it can't be all bad.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thank y'all. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
So
thank you for sharing your story.
And telling us.
And I hope you got more stories. You keep doing it. You know what I'm
we'll have to like return back to this.
Oh yeah.
In like December.
Yeah.
After election, after the cleanup, like let's like for real.
Yeah,
we'll circle back in December.
Connected for sure. I'm sure we'll see you again.
Definitely pay attention to immediately after the election.
Yeah.
Because I feel like some people might get mad here if things go one way or the other. It might get
I'm
interesting.
gonna have a group here the 7th through the 13th, or the 7th through the 10th, doing more outreach stuff here. So like I'm nervous, and I'm just nervous. I'm like, oh please.
Y'all had to be thrust into the position to be bosses.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, you're leading men, and you're leading like giant groups of or all this product to come in here and picking where it goes and everything. Like it's crazy.
It's
Ain't
no
it?
easy task.
You're just thrust into it, just like a pastor is with all these people that just show up. Like, I need food, I need clothes, I need this, that. It's like God puts it in your lap, and look at y'all. You can handle it just fine.
I guess.
Me, I just really would like my business to come back.
Yeah.
Business is very affected by all small businesses in the area are just like completely devastated. So everybody consider shopping at your local businesses.
Yes, please support your small
Because
businesses.
everybody on my side of town, or not my side of town, where I work in Hickory, like most of them aren't that affected by the actual. Well, there's some, but they are giving to people here.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
So like these people have nothing. Those people are giving to people here. There's nobody hardly shopping anymore.
Right.
They just don't have it left
Right.
because they're giving, and I'm glad they are, but
Right.
come on, man, give to me too.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank y'all for watching, and thank you for talking with us, and I hope you keep up the good deeds. It's great.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure. Thank you guys.
Yeah.